House Kart Raceway just outside of Hoddesdon for live coverage of the 8th round of the Club 100 Sprints Championships for 2020. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me is Howard Mitchell. Together we are Double Dash Motorsport Media, your commentary providers for Club 100 and the BUKC on their Alpha Live streams this year. We're heading into heavyweights, aren't we, Howard? This is going to be another very interesting afternoon. The lightweights put on quite the show this morning and into the early afternoon. And this is once again this kind of strange scenario that we've got given the announcements from last night. This could be the last round of the championship. We don't quite know. But what we do know, it's going to be very, very tight and close out there.
Absolutely, mate. As for anyone who's not familiar with Rye House, we look at another ornament of Ryacic Park, just in case. I've done an interview.
The magpie in particular.
I know.
That's a nice touch.
I've done an interview with the driver underneath that Stegosaurus, and I've never said that line before in comms. Anyway, yes. Sorry. To be serious, it is a very, very interesting round that we go into now with the heavyweights. It is very close at the top of the standings in this one, and as we were saying for the lightweights, for any of you who weren't joining us, obviously the news, the wider news for the UK last night throws up in the air quite how significant this round could be. We just don't know. We just don't know how much more racing, if any, we may be able to get into 2020. We would hope, of course, to get more in. But the truth is we just don't know. And so it's with that in mind that we go in today with 3 points separating our top two drivers in the Heavyweight Sprint Championship. Joe Holmes, multiple-time champion, of course, and reigning champion on 758 points, and Anwar Birel Smith on 755. Adam Wright is in third on 742, not that far back. That's your top three, as it sounds to me like the cards are getting ready. This, I have to say, I'm struggling to process this shot because there's people in line with the cart, but also trees more in the foreground. But I do love some of the oddities of the camera shots that we're able to get around Rye House. But yeah, it's really interesting in the championship, and that's just in Class 1. Don't forget we have 4 subclasses within heavyweights. We have classes 1, 2, 3, and your super heavyweights as well. Yep. So plenty of action, plenty to keep an eye on through all of that. So yeah, thoroughly looking forward to it.
Right, karts heading out on circuit for the start of the practice laps for the very first heat of 12. So let's take a very short break. Next up here on your Alpha Live stream for Club 100 Sprints 2020 will be heat 1 of the heavyweights. Practice laps underway. You're not missing any competitive action. Here is Howard with your grid.
Absolutely. Heat number 1 of 12 for round 8 of the heavyweight and super heavyweight sprint championship. Oliver Moss will start this one from pole. Alex Pritchard alongside the number 44 and 77 on the front row. James Wortman and Blake Templey on row number 2. Darren Townsley and Jack Bolton make up row number 3. Championship leader Joe Holmes starts on row 4 with Sean Briley alongside. Matt Wildman and Steve Bosley round out your top 10. Richard Newton and Thijs Payne make up row number 6. Then it's Jonathan McCady and Joel Barnett on 7. Row 8 is Elliot Muse and Jack Fowler. Row 9, Andy Berry and Redford James. To round out your 18-kart grid for this first heat. So just to run you through the formats. For this, we're going to have much the same as lightweights for those of you who are following earlier today, but we're going to have our 12 sprint heat races. Each driver will feature in 3 out of those 12, and therefore you can think of the 12 races as subdividing further into 3 rotations of 4. So each driver will take part in one race out of races 1 through 4, and then one race out of races 5 through 8, and so on.
I just want to cut across because for our ladies and gentlemen who are following this morning, it's just cut away. That is a dry line. That is the first time we've seen that today. That's appeared during the free practice session for heavyweights that happened over the lunch break.
It's a very good point. No, it's a good point. But I have also been keeping an eye on the weather forecast, and it's telling me that there's rain due in 71 minutes. So I think we'll be lucky if yes, there is the hallowed dry line being focused on there. And that's a hairpin one. That's critical.
Yeah,
that's critical to have that kind of grip. And also here, when the drivers really lean on the kart, going through pylon, going through pylon, complex Nouvelle, and then through to paddock here at the final corner. It's 20 points, 20 championship points available for the win in a sprint heat race, 19 for second, 18 for third, and so on and so forth. That determines your grids as well, your points across all 3 of the heats that you do for your grid position for the trophy final. We've got nice healthy grid sizes, so we're going to be having 3 of those finals, a C final, a B final, and an A final. If drivers have had a particularly bad time of it during the heats, there are opportunities to get promoted up through the C final into the B, and also the B into the A, which we'll get to later on. But then whoever goes on to win the A final will bag themselves 130 points in the championship. We do also have drop scores in the championship as well. It is 3 drop rounds by convention, although one has to also acknowledge we don't know if that will be stay fixed as well. That potentially could get overturned by the current situation we find ourselves in. I'll be slightly more surprised by that than I would curtailment of rounds, but we really, of course, just don't know. But anyway, that is your format. Final things to talk about are your class number plates, just as you're watching. And we've got all colours represented here in this race, so it's nice and easy to explain. Yellow number plates are your Class 1 runners. Blue number plates are your Class 2s and 3s. And green number plates are your super heavyweight drivers. All classes get scored together, but come the end of the racing, at the end of the day, we will declare who is the highest within each of those subclasses, and they will get trophies accordingly. And of course, there are plaudits for being the highest position within the championship within each of those subclasses as well. Not isolated and completely separate championships, you understand, but so every position counts critically is the crucial thing about this. It's not about your position in class, it is about position overall. But come the end of the season, we are looking as well who is where in the standings within each of those subclasses. We look good for our first race start then for our heavyweights and super heavyweights. Pace kart will pull over to the side. It's the 44 and 77 on the front row. Oliver Moss with Alex Pritchard alongside. Eyes on the lights, engine notes rise, and we're away here into the unique start that is Stadium Corner. And there's a bit of loading there. Is everyone going to face the right way? No, that is already a driver off there, but thankfully that wasn't too bad. They just ended up on the grass on the inside, which is fairly unusual. Far more grip than the lightweights had first thing this morning. That is Jack Bolton making some early moves there, getting past Sean Briley, the 6 ahead of the 50, and there is Joe Holmes working his way through some of the Class 2 runners to try and get himself further up the field. That is a bold move there by the 154 of Jonathan McCady. Lifts his arm aloft to say, yeah, I do understand that was a bit bold, but everyone lives to race another corner for now, as they all come through Complex Nouvelle for the first time. And then through the left-hand kink ahead of Paddock Corner. Important to get a good launch off to get yourself set up nicely for Stadium. It is Oliver Moss who leads, Alex Pritchard in second, Jack Bolton in third. Good start for him. Sean Briley up to fourth, with Blake Templey rounding out your top 5. Blake doing well there, one of our super heavyweight drivers, so he is at a form of disadvantage, although he has on several occasions this year managed to negate the disadvantage effectively. He's been driving very well this season, although he's just dropped down there, and that is because Richard Newton has got by, and Joe Holmes is trying to capitalise as well as he goes side by side with Richard Newton now down the back straight. Newton will have the inside line, but Joe Holmes, with ever experience, keeps himself alongside and slips down the inside of Complex Nouvelle. Managed to keep himself in that battle, showing why he is a multiple-time champion in this form of karting.
Sean Briley there in the number 50. Big day for him. He's part of this championship battle as Joe Holmes goes down the inside of Templey there for 5th place. Yeah,
really nice, bold move into Stadium, and as I said, way more grip than there was this morning for the lightweights. Nice clear dry line, as there's a pass within super heavies. Richard Newton going by on Blake Templey for 6th place there, and I think he managed to make it stick. So again, all these subclasses getting for this. They're still side by side, our 2 super heavyweight runners. Here they go into pylon, and it's going to go the way of Richard Newton. But as I say, all subclasses scored together within a race result, but the drivers will still be looking to be the best placed within their subclass in each of the races. And at the moment within super heavyweights, that is Richard Newton. Alex Pritchard in second place is the highest placed of the Class 2 runners. As we look here at Steve Bosley, now chasing Blake Templey.
I'm going to add to your Mercedes analogy, because not only is it 44 and 77 in the lead, you've also got the number 6 in third place.
Yes, I like
the retired one.
Yes.
But Alex Pritchard, hopefully he's had his porridge this morning. Been having a very good season once again. Continues to improve year by year, does Alex. Saw some good results for his Applewood Independent buddies, Mike Coppin and Chris Alcock this morning in the lightweights. There's Matt Wildman, you just saw with the orange flash on the top of his helmet. That was the driver off at turn 1 on lap 1. It's recovered now to 12th.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking to the grass. As I say, not many drivers who can say, I ended up on the grass on the inside of stadium.
Yes.
Usually it's about clinging on for dear life around it, but he managed to...
And live to tell the tale.
And live to tell the tale. It's very true, actually.
Just to show the comparison in lap times, 154 takes a bit of water onto the circuit there. Lap times are down to the 45 seconds, so that's 10 seconds quicker thereabouts than we were in the lightweights this morning.
Yep.
3.5 minutes to go. Oliver Moss still leading in the number 44.
Matt Wildman now onto the back of Blake Templey. And indeed going through, muscling his way through indeed at Complex Nouvelle. Does Blake have a... Oh, and Blake tries to come back at him, and they get squeezed a little bit there, but there wasn't really the gap for him to go for there. And he carries on, but he's now got the attentions of Andy Berry in that 170 kart, and he gets through indeed.
Developing battle, Joe Holmes closing in on Sean Brierley, currently the fastest driver out on circuit with a 44.7, a 10th quicker than Brierley last time around. The gap between them is 8/10.
Yeah, so this is where Joe Holmes has worked his way through the, I say Class 2 traffic. Traffic is not meant in a derogatory way there at all, because there are several Class 2 drivers who can hold a candle to some of the Class 1 runners out there, but he has picked his way up through the order and is now closing in on that top group. Here he is. Should have mentioned as well, for those of you who maybe are new to watching Club 100 or weren't with us for this morning, for these heat races the drivers get their random grid slots, such that they all have the same average grid slot across all of their 3 heats. So you'll end up having one heat race where you start towards the front, one where you're roughly in the middle, and one towards the back, as there's a move there from the 77 of Alex Pritchard on some of the traffic. I think it may have been Joel Barnett there, but interesting place to get by on put a lap on them. But they'll have the random grid slots. The only exception is your Class 3 runners, because they're novice drivers, as Jack Bolton goes down the inside of Alex Pritchard for second place, and they're still side by side through stadium, but Jack Bolton will be able to hang on in a move that you just would not have been able to do a few hours ago here with the track conditions. He's going to look for the move on Bolton again, was Pritchard, but he had to pull out of that. Behind him though, Sean Brierley now under serious pressure from Joe Holmes. Joe Holmes will get the cutback out of the corner. What will the drive be like down this straight? Sean Brierley has the inside line for the next section, and indeed he has better drive off the corner, so he's able to swoop back in front of Joe Holmes and take the battle on to the next set of corners. But you wouldn't put it past Joe Holmes to have a go pretty soon. He's been rapidly moving up through the field. Still Oliver Moss there in the 44. Now Jack Bolton in second with Alex Pritchard in third. There is Sean Brierley in his distinctive yellow and black liveried suit and helmet. And looking over his shoulder for where Joe Holmes is in a difficult position at the moment. He'd love to make progress, but he's feeling the need to defend. Joe Holmes getting a bit balked at that corner.
Sean Brierley in a difficult position here as well. What would you rather have? A shot at getting up to third place, which may not pay off, or keeping Joe Holmes behind you at this stage of the season? I think if I was Sean, I would prefer the latter there and keeping Joe Holmes under control a bit.
Yeah. Brierley on 730 points in the championship in 4th place, so he's some 28 points off of Joe Holmes' tally. As we go on to the last lap, fastest lap of the race from Jack Bolton in his pursuit now of the lead of the race with Oliver Moss. So Moss's advantage less than a second as they come on to this lap. And indeed, here goes Bolton. Oh, no, excuse me, that's on some traffic. Good spot, mate. So he's not quite onto the back of Moss. And actually, this might be doing Moss a favour as Pritchard is looking for a way past the traffic, and it doesn't hold up Sean Brierley or Joe Holmes at all.
well dealt with by all three of those drivers there. That could have gone wrong very easily. In fact, Birel's having a little look there to try and get past Pritchard, and that's where he's now vulnerable, because Joe Holmes is going to be on the inside. Birel fights back in. Holmes makes a move up the inside, but it's going to be a win for Oliver Moss. 44 wins at Rye House. Where have you heard that before? Jack Bolton finishes second, Alex Pritchard third. Sean Birel did hold on to what could be a crucial fourth place ahead of Joe Holmes. Richard Newton, your top super heavy. Steve Bosley will take 7th place. Darren Townsley in 8th. McCaddy in 9th. Berry 10th. Wildman falls to 11th on the last lap. Then Temperley, Workman, Payne, Fowler, James and Barnett. But yes, 44 wins at Rye.
And Alex Pritchard looked well happy finishing the highest place at the Class 2 runs, and well he might. Anyway, already out on track. And next up for you here on your Alpha Live stream with commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media is Heavyweight Sprint Heat number 2.
A 44 win at Rye House, of course, made famous by the great DDMM Barnstormers Inter's Enduro victory last year, ladies and gentlemen.
Loved it. Loved that plug. That's the only instance of a number 44 being famous around here.
Absolutely.
So, into Heat 2, as they're doing their warm-up laps, let's take you through the grid. It's going to be Jonathan Elliott on pole with Gary Miller alongside Matt Kendall and Andrew Cherry on row 2. Row 3 will be Jordan Salter and Matthew Lambert. Lee Henderson and Lenny Wood start on row 4. Row 5 is Nick Trafford. And Class 2 points leader coming into today. No, excuse me, it's not. He's second in that running, excuse me, is Lewis Ridd. Then it's going to be Richard Masterson and Lewis McKinnon on row number 6. Row 7 is Chris Solomon and Jason Bear. Frankie Bennett and Richard Neal make up row 8. And on row number 9, on his lonesome, but looking to move on up through the 16 karts in front of him, is Chris Kirk. Now, apologies to Miguel Hall, of course, who sits furthest in up in the Class 2. And the reason I always miss him in my mind is because he is significantly ahead in terms of positions. He has had a really cracking season, has Miguel. He's on 715 points within Class 2. And he's battling away, actually, with the likes of Stuart Jones and our man who's just run a race in the form of Oliver Ross, 2 Class 1 runners. So he's on 715. Lewis Ridd is next in Class 2 on 701. It's not an insurmountable gap, but it's been a very impressive run from Miguel Hall, and he sits relatively strongly at the front of that Class 2.
Big thanks to all of our cameramen out on the circuit today. David Whitehouse down at Turn 1, Chris Simpson up at Complex Novell and Paddock, and Jack Mitchell on the gantry overlooking the back straight. They're all keeping me up to date in terms of track conditions. Still wet inside hairpin 1 and hairpin 2, which is going to be making overtaking tricky. And I noticed on that shot that we had through Paddock that the very inside line of Stadium is now wetter than it, well, wetter in comparison to the outside line than we saw earlier. We saw kind of like a homogeneous level of damp across Stadium this morning, which meant moves on the inside were doable. Maybe not so much now. You've got to get the move done earlier through Stadium with the dry patches available too. You could change how Stadium races across the course of the afternoon. Still very cloudy here, potentially rain in the next hour, but not too bad.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to stay overcast for the rest of the day at the moment, as far as we can tell.
Just whilst we've got this, we should mention C3 as well.
Oh yes,
the C3, the C3 point standings as they are going into this round, and at the early stages, we saw quite a dramatic day in the lights, of course. C3 leader at the moment. I'm just looking for where they are. It is Chris Kirk. Sorry, no, apologies. It's Wayne Dunham, isn't it? So yes. Wayne Dunham in 40th place overall on 5:04. Leads in C3. Chris Kirk 42nd overall, 4:96. So your gap is 8 points there. Next is Simon Kavanagh in 45th place on 4:89. So very much all to play for today here in C3.
And I'm not sure if I managed to mention it with all the housekeeping stuff and then all the practice laps, but C3 runners at the back of the field.
Yep.
Which I still think is a fight. If you're there going, well, that's a bit unfair on them. No. You don't really want to be starting at the head of this field if you're relatively new to Club 100 karting.
Just to explain the hand positioning here, this isn't our drivers all, you know, feeling a bit blasé and a little bit lazy, or you know, have got pain in their right hand wrist. That's them trying to limit the amount of air going through the radiator to keep the engine as warm as possible.
Yep.
Debatable whether it actually has any effect at this speed, but there you go.
It's like weaving. It can be psychological.
It's a Joe Holmes thing. Joe started doing it, now everybody's copying it.
Yes.
But perfectly legal, of course, because they're not changing the ROTAX Evo stickered flap that you see over. If anyone does start playing with that, that would be illegal. We are ready for heat number 2 then. Pace kart pulls away. Number 12 and 28 alongside each other on the front row. Away goes Jonathan Elliott. In fact, very good start for Jonathan Elliott. Possibly too good. We'll wait and see on that one. The rest of them through turn 1. Lee Henderson in the middle of it all there. Oh, but has hit that wet patch and has run wide and spun. And a mistake there from Henderson. And someone towards the back of the field has also got caught out by that. So straight away, we see the problem with running on the very inside line, expecting dry conditions and hitting a wet patch.
Yeah, it was Chris Kirk who was the other spinner there as a result. So Henderson's only just getting underway now. But yeah, Chris Kirk unfortunately started at the back and is now further off of it as a result of that incident, as they all stream through Complex Birel.
Oh, Trafford is out as well. So Nick Trafford was the driver who originally got clobbered, and you can see the damage on the side of the kart there. Although that's on the wrong side of the kart from where he got hit by Lee Henderson, who's the innocent bystander through stadium. Up the inside there goes Jordan Salter, trying to make a move on Matt Kendall. Very nice move there from Jordan. That's him up to 3rd.
Yep, been driving well this season has Jordan. Jonathan Elliott, your leader then. Gary Miller in 2nd, Matt Kendall in 3rd, and then this battle between Salter has just got by Kendall for 3rd, good point, and then Lewis Ridd, who had a good start, up to 5th.
And is now up to 4th place with that move through hairpin 2. Yep. Very nice on the brakes there from Ridd.
Yep.
Rest of them filing through. You can see Lenny Wood there in the sky blue and white helmet. Great to see him racing once again. Has had a solid season so far. Knows this place well. He'll be looking for good points today. He's got Matthew Lambert ahead of him at the moment, the super heavyweight there in the 129.
Yep. And yeah, it's currently... I'm just trying to work out whether Jonathan Elliott is classed as a super heavyweight, because on timing he shows as if he is, but his number plate doesn't suggest it.
See Lenny Wood working the steering hard there. It is a dry line out there, but there won't be much grip on it as Jason Bear looks down the inside for something that's going to be a bit 50-50 off hairpin number 2. You saw Wood there trying to work the steering wheel, work the front tyres to A, find where the grip is, but also B, you know, get those tyres gripping as you go into that corner entry where you do load up the fronts a lot through hairpin 1.
Not seen anything with regard to suggest that Elliott's start is being suspected by the race officials. So
maybe just absolutely nailed it, and P2 was a little bit asleep.
Yeah.
And P3 for that matter.
Yes, yeah. So we have to say a decent start from Jonathan Elliott. This is Lewis Ridd challenging Jordan Salter now over that 3rd place. And Gary Miller is there right in front of him in the 28. In fact, they almost go 3 wide, exchanging those 3 positions. Gary Miller will sweep back to the right-hand side to set himself up through pylon. But and there's a little tap from Lewis Ridd on the rear bumper of Jordan Salter as they come through paddock corner, slingshotting themselves onto the start-finish straight to come round and begin another lap. You can see them ducking their head to get any kind of aerodynamic advantage that they can, as Lenny Wood here putting a move on Matthew Lambert in the 129 for 6th place.
Very nice move there from Lenny. Nice and clean, textbook manoeuvre through stadium on a day like this. Got that move done nice and early. Avoided that wet patch at about 9 o'clock position. Here comes Ridd though down the inside. That was a forceful move, a clean move as well. It's got in 3rd place.
Yep, really nice and perfectly slotted himself in behind Gary Miller. I wondered if maybe there's going to be a bit of contact there as they all converge together again at the end of that straight, but no, managed it well, as there's a penalty for Chris Kirk, ABC bump and pass. That's going to be 4 positions docked from wherever he finishes as the battle over 2nd place crosses the line. Gary Miller doing well here to have this pace and run here in 2nd place, but you've got a feeling Lewis Ridd has been working himself up the order so well that you wonder if he isn't going to go for some kind of move. They'll come out of hairpin 1 and then you've got this interesting straight where you begin it on the right-hand side and end up on the left-hand side without really putting in any steering input, because it has a little sort of right-left, and there is Rid down the inside.
That was very smart from Lewis Rid. He just backed off a little bit before hairpin 2. He didn't want to get put to the outside, had the confidence to cut that tighter line through hairpin 2 and then get on the power a little bit earlier. That is some of the best driving I think we've seen so far today. That was proper heads-up stuff.
Yeah, he is positioning the kart so beautifully in these moves, and he seems really strong in that second sector, as here is the move from Lenny Wood for 5th place on Matt Kendall as well. So Lenny Wood doing well, working himself up the order. Plenty of experience in Club 100 machinery that he has now. As we're back with the battle, this is Salter chasing Miller now over 3rd place. And I think Lewis Rid has already got quite the gap. Yep. Indeed, yeah, there he is, just flashing through your shot there. So it's an out-and-out battle now between Gary Miller and Jordan Salter over this 3rd place. And Salter's going to get there, and he's going to make a slightly neater assessment than we saw earlier on in this race from, I think it was Blake Temperley who was trying to get a position back. You've got to be careful positioning your car. Even if you have overspeed coming out of Complex Nouvelle, be very careful putting your car to the right-hand side, because the driver in front of you is not obliged to give you any particular space. They will hold their racing line.
It does show, though, that in particularly these mixed conditions, that there's a big word that needs to be reminded in all drivers' minds around this place, and that's patience.
Yes.
You have to be patient around here. And it's always tricky, of course, in sprint racing, where it's short, snappy races. You want to get on with things. You want to gain as many positions as you can. But yeah, and he's going to maybe try it again now. He's there. Just slot in behind and try and get something set up into stadium. Nice and patient on the throttle through here, because that's a mistake for Miller. Yep. This is going to be a chance now down into stadium corner. Maybe try and do a block pass. Here comes Lenny Wood as well in number 38. So Salter's got to pick his moment. He's got to make sure it's the right moment to get this move done on Miller. Miller has kept the position, has survived through the first couple of corners on this lap.
4.5 seconds to the good is Jonathan Elliott. Lewis Rid did take some time out of him last lap with the fastest lap of the race, but it's going to take more than that to reel him in, because the next time our leaders cross the line, it will be scored as the last lap. So we've only got maybe 1.25 laps left to go of this one. This battle's still going on, and as you say, Andrew, Lenny Wood now on the scene. So Jordan Salter has a difficult job to do. He's going to try and execute a pass whilst preventing a pass. Still Miller getting good drive off of that final corner, though, it has to be said, and it allows him to just stay far enough ahead coming through stadium, as Lenny Wood now seriously starting to pressure Jordan Salter in the number 42. Jonathan Elliott just a few seconds up the road, still leading this one, just has to bring this one home, and Lewis Rid kind of in no man's land in 2nd place. He's had a brilliant run up through the field, but he could have done with a few more laps. Here is your race leader, Jonathan Elliott, coming through the final few corners now. There is the battle over 2nd place, but there is our leader coming through, and then Lewis Rid comes through, and Jonathan Elliott is going to take the win in heat number 2, and it's going to be Lewis Rid finishing an impressive 2nd place. Bit of a drag to the line here. It's going to be Gary Miller in 3rd, and Jordan Salter just manages to hang on ahead of Lenny Wood in 5th. Jason Bear finishes 6th, Matt Kendall in 7th, and it's Matthew Lambert, Andrew Cherry and Richard Masterton, excuse me, to round out your top 10. Lewis McKinnon, Chris Kirk, Nick Trafford, Frankie Bennett, Lee Henderson, Richard Neal and Chris Sullivan, although bear in mind Chris Kirk does have a 4th-place deduction to be applied for penalties. That was heat number 2 then. Already out on track for their warm-up laps is heavyweight and super heavyweight sprint number 3.
Back with us here at Rye House. You're watching live coverage of the 8th round of the 2020 Club 100 Sprint Championships on Alpha Live with Double Dash Motorsport Media, your commentary providers. We're moving on to heat number 3 then. Their practice laps underway. Let's have a look at the grid for this next race. Paul Williams has pole position alongside Richard Allen. Lots of experience there on that front row. Jeff Lamb and Dimitri Zeldin are on row 2. Vinod Hirani and Adam Wright, 3rd in the championship, on row 3. Chris Griswood, here he is. We had some asking of other questions. Where is Chris Griswood? Here he is in the heavyweights, of course. Bradley Parrott alongside on the 4th row. Steve Lindley and Paul Goddard are on row 5. David Longman now in the heavyweights alongside Sonny Cundy on row number 6. Dan Smith and James Dunnett will start from row 7. Simon Kavanagh, running well in points in C3 this year, starts on row 8 alongside Luke Phillips. Jaden Cadigan, the last of our runners there, 17 karts in the field. Couple of interesting drivers in this one, lots of experience in it, Howard, with that front row of Williams and Allen, and I'm intrigued to see how David Longman races through, because this is a circuit that's been good to him in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. Also, interesting to see, of course, Adam Wright in this one, his first race of the day, currently sat there up in 3rd place of the heavyweight championship on 742, so he'll be looking to get his points tally off. But as you say, Longman with plenty of experience around here and plenty of success around here in the past. Should acknowledge as well Richard Allen, who's on the front row, your points leader in super heavyweights. I don't want to take anything away from the super heavies, but that is the most comfortably held lead in any of the subclasses for Richard Allen.
Well, Richard Allen looking to retain that super heavyweight title.
Indeed.
And was our driver of the year, club driver of the year last year. An award that was given to him by our very own Nicky Richardson at the awards dinner in January. I remember that because I was preparing the event tracker for 2021, Howard, and saw that one back on back in the early days of 2020 before all the chaos began. And it reminded me, like, yes, that was this year.
Technical defect flag for the number 11. That is Paul Goddard. Paul has had, I have to say, Paul has had some fantastic.
That's something I don't like to see.
Well,
my car in technical defect being in the same shot. Don't do that.
Very true. But yes, someone screen grab that one, please. But yeah, Paul Goddard will have to report to the pits. There he is. Drove so well at our last
the quiz
stream
now.
round.
What's broken?
What is
What's
wrong?
missing?
The nose is the exhaust.
Oh, exhaust has collapsed.
Yeah, exhausted. Yeah, it's sat there inside of the.
Good spot. Whoever spotted that one out on track.
Yeah. One wonders if there's an audible clue as well, although there might not necessarily be if it's just the support that's dropped.
Yeah, I don't think there was an audible tone change, because normally we're able to hear those from even from the comms position as
this is true.
we overlook start finish.
But yeah, he drove so well at our last streamed round, did Paul.
He's been on great form all season.
Yeah.
You know, not just at Wilton Mill. He showed some really good spirit at Bayford Meadows as well.
Very true. Yeah. So he will get himself a fresh Club 100 go-kart, and then we'll take to the circuit. These Club 100 karts arrive and drive.
Sorry, we got Paul Williams and Paul Goddard mixed up there, but both of them have been driving.
They both have been driving well. Yeah.
Well. Apologies.
But yes, these Club 100 karts, some of the in fact, Paul's already gone and got himself a different kart. There you go, he's already out. Slightly difficult for him, might be slightly cold. Then again, it might be up to temp, having just been out for a heat race.
Yeah, depends what he's been given there.
He may have just inherited the winner from the last race, for all we know. But yeah, these Club 100 karts, some of the fastest arrive and drive go-karts that you can drive in Europe. Club100.co.uk if you are interested. There has been a provisional 2021 calendar. We might be able to give mention to it at some point when there's a slight gap in the action later on, but it is a fantastic calendar that they've announced, and obviously there's a little bit of uncertainty hanging over the remainder of the 2020 season, but Club 100 has plenty of good plans to look forward to. So there's a thumbs up there from Paul Williams to Chris Simpson, who's here on the gantry operating the camera as they come out of Complex Nouvelle. 17 karts in this field, 20 championship points on offer, and it's all about amassing the most points you can across your 3 heats for the best possible grid position in the finals.
Not sure if we're good for a go here. No, we are. We are good for a go then. So Paul Williams will take us from pole position. Richard Allen alongside on the front row. Away they go then for this next heat into Stadium Corner. Richard Allen trying to hold around the outside. Steve Lindley in the middle of it all there in the monster suit. 3 wide almost as they come off of Stadium. Wow, Richard Allen cuts through. Brave as you like. One of the bravest drivers in the club there, showing what he's about. Dave Longman's in the middle of a mixture there. Steve Lindley forced out wide, but I think just about everyone kept pointing in the right direction there.
Yeah, 3 wide between Richard Allen, Paul Williams and Jeff Lamb in the 91 there coming out of Stadium. There was indeed quite a ruckus down at hairpin 1, but I think it was one of those ones where one of the drivers got pitched round and then another driver hit them to basically right the spin, and meant they all sort of were annoyed, but were all of these facing the right way come the end of it. But it is Richard Allen who leads, with Jeff Lamb in second, Paul Williams in third, Dimitri Zeldin is in fourth, and then Adam Wright up one position to fifth. Great start for Paul Goddard there. Is that up 5 positions to sixth place? He's had a stellar start in that replacement kart for him there, as we're with our leaders coming through hairpin 1 now. There is Paul Goddard on the tail of Zeldin. So Adam Wright has got by Zeldin. Indeed he has. You can see his green helmet ahead of them now. So there's Paul Williams now under pressure from Adam Wright in that number 4 kart, and helpfully for us viewers with AW plastered across the front of his helmet. He's going to try and find a gap there, but judged that well. Knew that that gap was going to close. So patience, as Andrew was alluding to earlier on, is very much a virtue around this Rye House circuit. Now Adam Wright can pounce and take the position off of Paul Williams.
Adam Wright's got some good waft down the straight. That's 2 laps in a row he's made that kind of move.
And there's a bit of side contact there between Goddard and Zeldin. Zeldin not too happy, but to be fair to him, I'm not sure where Goddard could have gone there, having put the move on him. It is Paul Goddard up to 5th place now. Further down from this battle, there is the battle between Bradley Parrott and Vinod Hirani. Parrott passed Hirani on the last lap to line up 7th now, and is the 2nd highest of our super heavyweight runners. As there's a contact warning for Chris Gristwood. Doesn't amount to a penalty yet, but he needs to avoid getting any more of those if he does not want to be docked positions. All penalties in this form of Club 100 racing are in the form of position penalties rather than time penalties. So if he wants to avoid those, he wants to avoid any more contact. This is the battle between David Longman et al. Actually, they're all together here as he tries to put a move on Kavanagh there. Yeah, and manages to get it done as they go 3 wide here. Lindley's going to hit the water, and that's going to pitch the number 64 off into the grass. James done it, and he is going to be well frustrated with that. And that's the first time we've seen the right hand, left hand, the little right-left kink in that straight come to bite today at Rye House and just run someone out of room.
2 into 1 doesn't go in that region of the track, never mind 3 into 1.
Exactly.
So 3 minutes 50 on the clock. David Longman working his way back up the order. I think what happened to David on the very first lap of the race, he had to take to the escape road, got water on his tyres, and then ran wide through hairpin 2. Now look at hairpin 2's approach now. That's really compromised the drivers into there. Jeff Lamb now alongside Adam Wright. Is Adam Wright going to try and go all the way around the outside into pylon? Oh, Jeff Lamb defended that really well. Yeah. Really ballsy through the initial part of pylon. That's what you've got to do when you're in that situation, to give yourself a chance of holding around the outside. Richard Allen continues to lead this race though, but he just looks like he's being reeled in a bit here.
Yep. As Jeff Lamb continues to hold off Adam Wright for 2nd place. Paul Williams going well in 4th. And just Paul, I feel, has gone strongly in around Rye House before. I recall we did a stream here once where he was trying to get out of the B funnel but just couldn't quite make it. There was there's quite a truly train developing behind one driver on that occasion. He just couldn't make it work, but his pace was good. His pace was good, and he'll be looking to get a good result here today. But this is closed up a little bit more amongst our top 3, you feel, on this lap. Here they all are, nose to tail. So as we've still got just under 3 minutes left on the clock, you can't help but feel that Jeff Lamb has closed the gap. He has by half a second to Richard Allen coming onto this lap. So this top 3 here are just coming good as the race progresses here. And Paul Goddard has got by Paul Williams for 4th place as well. So you might see the number 11 ahead of the 65 in the back of shots as we're focusing on these top 3. There's a yellow flag out there, and that is because Dunnett is out of the race, out the kart and at the side of the road, unfortunately. So one wonders if the yellow might stay there for the remainder of the race, which would deter any overtaking opportunities into hairpin 2.
And drivers now trying to retake the normal dry line and finding out that there's still that wet patch there. Paul Williams just had a huge moment off camera.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest risks around Rye House. In fact, this corner that they're going into now, the drivers explicitly warned, do be careful about water being kicked up onto the racing line into stadium. In this case, it's happened on the entrance into hairpin 2, and it's causing enough upset there But Stadium is a real one to be careful of. It's this part of the track that they're coming up to now. You'll see the water and mud that's been dragged onto the circuit by the incident that led to Dunnett being at the side of the road.
There will be a little bit of frustration from anyone trying to make a move through Hairpin 2, because at the moment James Dunnett is making no attempts to recover the kart.
Well, yeah, but I wonder if the kart's had some kind of issue and they've just made the call that they can't recover it at this point. It's an interesting one, isn't it? But yeah, he's at the side of the road. I mean, maybe, to be fair, maybe the kart is flooded in some way. It was quite the body of water that he hit as Adam Wright tries down the inside of Jeff Lamb.
Still pull it off the road and get it clear of that zone.
Very
which,
true.
The driver's making no attempt to do at the moment. This is the battle for second place. Richard Allen has got on top of this and just bridged that gap, hasn't he? That's keeping him at a safe distance.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, they could move that kart further off even if it wasn't functional. Adam Wright, once again, trying to keep the heat in his engine, giving himself any advantage that's going to be able to get him on to Jeff Lamb and get by. Paul Goddard still in fourth, Paul Williams in fifth. David Longman working his way up the order, just got past Bradley Parrott for sixth place as well, further down the order. As we go on to the last lap then. Richard Allen leading, Jeff Lamb in second, Adam Wright in third. Plenty of close battles out there. I think David Longman has got by Paul Williams. So I was about to say, I'm not sure if David Longman has enough pace in him to get by, but he has. And look at this. This is the closest it's been in a while over second place here. But Jeff Lamb is strong on the brakes into hairpin 2. And I think that's just going to give him enough to stretch his legs out ahead of Adam Wright and retain this one for now. But it has been a good race from David Longman, working his way up the order. It's going to be, though, Richard Allen, who rounds the final corner and takes the win in his first race of the day, heat number 3, and he's well chuffed with that, with Jeff Lamb in second and Adam Wright in third. We expect Paul Goddard to come through in the number 11. Indeed he does, but under pressure from David Longman, just managed to hold him off there. Paul Williams finishes 6th, then it's Bradley Parrott, Sonny Cundy in 8th place, continues what has been a really strong season for him in that novice Class 3, is the highest of the Class 3 finishers. Chris Christwood in 9th, 10th for Vinod Hirani. Then it's Steve Lindley, Dan Smith, Simon Kavanagh, Dimitri Zeldin, Luke Phillips in 15th, Jaden Cadigan in 16th, and there is the recovery of James Dunnett's kart. So I'm not seeing anything obvious that prevents them from pushing that kart, but either way, it's now being recovered.
But it is very boggy down there.
It is. It's true. Maybe potentially you may struggle to. I mean, we just saw 2 people moving it. To be fair, maybe it was difficult for one person alone to do. Anyway, the whistle getting blown there to indicate to the drivers who are going out now for heat number 4 that it is time for them to take to the circuit, and that is what is coming up for you next here at Rye House. Out for their warm-up laps then. At the moment, our Heat 4 drivers. Let's take you through the grid. This is going to be the final heat race of this rotation. So after this one, all the drivers will have taken part in at least one race. James Taylor starts this one from pole position with Stephen Downs alongside Dave Pethers and Bradley Shears on row 2, with Harrison Wedgbury and Bill Taylor on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Anwar Burrell Smith, sits second in the championship coming into today, and Miguel Hall, who leads the Class 2 points standings. Matt Hale and Harrison Darville round out your top 10, and then it's Chris Wharton and Darren Dematia on row 6. James Fremont and Martin Robinson are on row 7, and then it's Tim Williams and Class 3 points leader coming into today, Wayne Dunham, to round out your 16 kart grid. That's how they line up then for, as I say, the last of this rotation of heats.
Interesting one, this.
Yeah.
You've got James Taylor, who hasn't raced all season, but we know his talents a lot here on these streams. Has also reportedly lost several kilos since Wilton Mill.
Blimey.
Undisclosed number.
What's the secret?
Please tell us.
I need to have a chat.
But yeah, so you've got a very, very quick driver at the front of the field, and I'm looking at Anwar there. He's got some places to make up. This is his start in the middle heat, but I'd imagine he's gonna get through some of them, no disrespect to those drivers in between, but can he get to the front? Can he get past the likes of Stephen Downs? Can he get past the likes of James Taylor? That is going to be tough, and there's still... Well, that's going to stay there now. That's going to...
Yes.
The thing is... who just went through that? That was Harrison Darby, wasn't it?
Yes.
There,
Well, maybe that's the
there's some
citizens'...
poor soul who's going to go through that on lap 1.
That's the citizens' thing to do, though, right? On your warm-up laps, go and clear it a little bit, and then you've got time to run it off your tyres.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Well done, Harrison.
the first
Taking one for the team.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's going to hit that on the first lap.
Yes.
And about the point that they hit the brakes, very, very brief braking zone for hairpin 2 here, because you haven't actually gathered that much pace since hairpin 1. But someone's going to give a short, sharp stab of the brakes on lap 1 and then suddenly realise they've got no turn-in, or they've got extremely diminished retardation of the kart at a point where it's rather critical to have it.
Indeed.
Do interact with us here in the comms box if you are enjoying today's stream, leaving a comment on the YouTube stream, or you can also get in touch with us on Twitter at @MM, or use the hashtag Club100Live, and we will do our best to keep on top of all those comments.
Hello to Kirith Karts. I'm still drying out from yesterday, says Kirith. Whilst we've got a few moments, Kirith is going to be my teammate for a Club 100 Races extravaganza on Gran Turismo Sport during the week. I'm going to stream it from point of view. I think that our own David Whitehouse is going to give some post-race comms on it as well. But yeah, I'm quite excited for that. The sim racing community of Club 100 Races, I think we all get a little bit lonely, especially as we're going into lockdown 2.0. We missed each other a lot during the spring and early summer, and got the Gran Turismo community going, and the iRacing community as well. So look out for that on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel during the week, and others as well.
And he had a good race at the round 4 of the Legends of Club 100 and UKC iRacing. He had a good race, did Kirith Rye the other day. At Suzuka, we were on iRacing the other night. If you missed it, you can head over to the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel and check it out. And whilst you're over there, why not give us a subscribe? And also, if you're not subscribed to Alpha Live, you should be subscribed to that as well.
Tuesday night for the Gran Turismo. It's just a bit of fun. It's nothing too serious, but I've put myself in there because somebody's got to finish last. There's going to be some very strong runners in there.
Taking one for the team there.
I
like
am
Harrison
very much taking
Darvel.
one for the team, just sitting at the back.
I'm sure not, mate. You've been getting better at it.
Yeah, but I haven't touched it since the end of GT World Championships.
I wasn't going to. I was giving you a genuine pep talk.
I haven't
there.
touched it in about 6 weeks.
James Taylor then lines up on pole position, as Andrew says, hasn't raced in this Club 100 season, but we know his talent.
Raced at Wilton Mill.
Excuse me, raced at Wilton Mill. Apologies, you were absolutely right. But hasn't raced a full season, but his talent is not in doubt, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on here. He's got a green... Yes, he is being scored as a super heavyweight with that green number plate. So the 111 to lead us away. Eyes on the lights, engine notes rise. James Taylor on your left, driver's right, with Stephen Downs alongside. It's a much more even start along the grid as they tear around. His Downs going to hang it all the way around the outside. He is beautifully done by Stephen Downs there as they come onto the straight, heading towards hairpin 1. And also a decent start for Bradley Shears there in the 1-2-4 as they all scrabble their way through hairpin 1. Doesn't seem to be any incident so far. Everyone's staying clear of that mud and water that's been brought onto the circuit. Yes, but there is someone spinning at the back, and that is Martin Robinson in the 116 who will have it all to do. Miguel Hall versus Anwar Birel Smith. I mentioned that these two were both prominent players in their respective subclasses in the championship, and they're battling away there, but Anwar Birel Smith has got the better of Miguel Hall for now. It is Stephen Downs at the end of lap 1 with James Taylor in second, under serious pressure here from Bradley Shears into stadium. That is the tightest we've seen someone try and move into stadium there from Shears, and I don't think it's going to quite pay off. There's maybe even a little bit rubbing as they come out of it, but they hold on for now. But James Taylor having to continue to go defensive, and now Dave Pethers is on the scene in the 127, and Shears has to take to the escape road to take avoiding action. Got to be careful. He's come alongside Bill Taylor. It pushes himself and Bill Taylor out wide, and that allows Anwar Birel Smith and potentially Miguel Hall through. But Bill Taylor in the 58 won't want to allow that if he can at all help it. But Miguel Hall has already got the position, and now Bradley Shears gets through on Bill Taylor as well. Action-packed lap there for Bradley Shears.
So a couple of things to point out there. Bradley Shears running wide, got the track limit warning for coming off of hairpin number 1. I really don't think you want to be going anywhere near that the rest of this afternoon, because you will come back on circuit with wet tyres and have trouble into hairpin number 2. I thought it was interesting that start as well, Howard. That's the first time we've seen someone from P2 take the lead so cleanly and forcefully off the first lap. We saw Ed Bars try and do that in the lightweight A final and come off decidedly worse.
Yes.
But that was a very good start by Downs. As 3 wide as we go into pylon. That's Matt Hale involved and Harrison Darville as well, both getting past Bradley Shears. So Bradley Shears going backwards at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a dramatic few laps, possibly in the wrong way for Bradley Shears the last couple. Stephen Downs, 5th place in the championship coming into today. He's got a nice tidy lead as Anwar Birel Smith goes down the inside of Dave Pethers, but he's got nowhere to go because James Taylor is going to bulk him, but somehow he finds a way through with a little bit of bumping and barging there, and Anwar Birel Smith brilliantly navigates his way into 2nd place as Miguel Hall goes down the inside of Dave Pethers there as well. And Bill Taylor's in there too, with Matt Hale now on the scene. Key figure in the G3 Pro effort, who competes so often in the endurance side of Club 100. He doesn't always do the sprint side of it, does Matt, but he's here competing today. Steve Downs there leading. Now 2.5 seconds to the good over Anwar Birel Smith as James Taylor battles away with Miguel Hall here to try and retain 3rd place.
I've just had a text.
Yes.
To say it's nice that Stephen Downs has remembered to make the race today.
It is.
There may have been an incident earlier in the season where Stephen was a little bit delayed. But he's definitely on time here and pulling away. James Taylor, as I say, this is only his 2nd appearance. Yeah. But I think if we had a league table for defensive driving, James Taylor is already ranking pretty highly up here. We saw him do a similar Gandalf job in the B final at Wilton Mill, which nearly pulled off, and he's having to do similar here as Miguel Hall's trying to go around the outside through Stadium. Taylor will have the inside for the exit, retain the position of 3rd there.
Yes, and does James Taylor have a transponder issue because he's dropped out of our...
No, I think, Miguel's
yes,
just got his nose ahead.
Yeah, and there's contact there that James Taylor's unhappy about, but Miguel Hall going to allow him back through. But Dave Pethers is right there, and Miguel Hall's got to be careful. Oh, it's going to get very... Oh, and that's James Taylor out. That's gone incredibly scruffy, and there just wasn't the room here, room there. That's a difficult one to call, but to me, I don't know. There wasn't the room for Miguel Hall to make that move, but he was there. I'd
call that on Miguel. That was David got on the run on the inside, which he was perfectly allowed to do as Miguel let James Taylor back through. I think that was, for me, Miguel needed to pull out of that one and just slot back into 5th place, and in not doing so, Bradley Shears is going wide and has got water on his tyres.
Now, and there's some water perhaps in the braking zone as well, because the 118 of Darren Dematia has spun as well there, breaking into hairpin 1. They all recover and get underway again, but just a few scruffy moments in our heavyweight field in heat number 4.
The thing for James Taylor, he was doing nothing wrong in the middle of pylon there when he got collected. Here comes, oh, now change for the lead. This is Anwar Birel Smith going up the inside and has got the lead. Yeah,
he's been slowly chipping away at that. No, I say slowly, he took a second out of Stephen Downs that last lap with the fastest lap of the race, but Anwar Birel Smith to the head of this one.
Oh, they both came, and there's water on the circuit.
This is chaotic. So Miguel Hall is off, Bill Taylor's round. Matt Hale as well spun there, but the big loser there was Miguel Hall, who went out onto the grass.
So that was classic Rye, because we'd seen the incident the lap before, and for Anwar and Stephen, that was the first time that they'd encountered those track conditions. And it's really hard to put into words for the folks back home, but from experience of it about 8 weeks ago, you don't know that's happening until you're having the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can watch it back on a GoPro video and go, oh yeah, there's the wet patch. But when you're at racing speed, you're not looking at the immediate piece of tarmac right in front of you.
Yeah.
You're looking into the corner, and it's those very slight damp patches that are so easy to miss, especially if they're new ones that weren't there 45 seconds ago when you were on your previous lap.
And I think as well, it's because, you know, this circuit is flat.
Yep.
There's tyre barriers low down around you. This isn't like Wilton Mill where you can see up the hill
Yeah.
and maybe witness an incident or witness other karts struggling. It's like, no, you're on the scene now.
There's no respite round this circuit at all.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge. Anwar Birel Smith on his final lap then of this heat. Stephen Downs second, Dave Pethers in third. He's driven really well in this race. Harrison Darville as well up in fourth, has kept his nose clean. James Taylor is now back up to fifth. But at least with that situation, you know, if there's a spot for it to happen into, it probably is hairpin one because yeah, it's a fairly wide braking zone. There's a little bit of runoff, a little bit of space for you to have that moment.
Yeah.
And not have an incident that's too big. But Anwar's going to come around the final corner, take another victory in Club 100. He wins Heat 4 here at Rye House. A very good victory, a very good start to his day. Stephen Downs is second. Dave Pethers will be third and top C2. Fourth place for Harrison Darville. Fifth for James Taylor. Sixth, Matt Hale. Seventh, Miguel Hall. Wayne Edwards is eighth. Bill Taylor ninth. Harrison Wedgbury in 10th. Tim Williams is your top C3 runner in the 157 in 11th. Bradley Shears, Darren Dematia, then Chris Wharton takes us to 14th. James Fremont, Martin Robinson and Wayne Dunham wrapping out the field.
Win for Anwar Birel Smith then in heat number 4. Next out on circuit is heat number 5 in our heavyweights. Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 5. Richard Newton on pole, Steve Bosley in second. Sean Briley and Nick Trafford make up your second row. Alex Pritchard and Gary Miller are row number 3. James Workman and Matt Kendall are row 4, with Chris Gristwood and Vinod Hirani rounding out your top 10. Matt Lambert and Chris Kirk round out row number 6. Row 7 is Jack Fowler and Joel Barnett. Chris Solomon and Jason Bear on row 8. And then James Dunnett rounds out the 17 kart grid and will of course be hoping for a slightly better time of it than his earlier heat, where he ended it at the side of the road just before hairpin 2. Are we already going to be good for a start? It looks like we absolutely are. So away we go with Richard Newton, and that's a bolt start of some description there, or is it called good? They're going to go into stadium section under racing conditions there. But something confused the field somewhat as they all streamed through stadium for the first time. There doesn't appear to be any incidents, thankfully, as Richard Newton leads them down. It's Sean Briley and his wheel tracks challenging there. In fact, Sean Briley, just as I eyeball the field coming in to the braking zone there, may be the only Class 1 runner in this field. So good opportunity for him to secure some strong points as he's in the wheel tracks of Richard Newton coming down the back straight. It's the 40 of Steve Bosley in third place there, but very unusual start there. Thankfully it didn't come to an incident, but everyone seemed very confused for a moment on the start.
Wind still quite firm. There was an errant coffee cup crossing the circuit there, just out of hairpin number 2. But Richard Newton leads then from Sean Briley at the end of lap 1. Steve Bosley up there in third. Alex Pritchard on a good run already in fourth. Nick Trafford has made it through lap 1 this time, wrapping out the top 5.
Good positioning from Richard Newton here, but Sean Briley's going to get good drive off the corner there. There's the wet patch. None of them want to hit on the driver's left.
Sean did hit it.
And he did hit it, and that's allowed Steve Bosley through. As also in the background there, Alex Pritchard with Nick Trafford, former super heavyweight champion, remember, is Nick, and he's challenging Alex Pritchard now for 4th place as they come through. into the right hand, excuse me, at paddock, onto the start-finish straight.
That was tough on Sean. There was nothing he really could have done about that, and he raced fairly as well. He didn't try and crowd Newton to the inside line so he could get back on the dry stuff.
Yep.
Just kept the steering nice and straight as well. Lived to fight another lap.
Gary Miller under pressure from Chris Gristwood, we just saw in the background there. It's still battling away as they come into hairpin 1. This is Alex Pritchard under pressure from Nick Trafford, and as Trafford has difficulty getting the turn in on that corner as well, as Steve Bosley now is getting onto the back of our race leader Richard Newton, but in turn so is Sean Briley getting onto the rear bumper of him. In fact, it's all closing up a little bit again at the front here because Alex Pritchard has joined the party, nose to tail our top 4 with, well, everyone else, quite frankly, in quite close company behind as well. On to lap number 4 then, still Richard Newton leading the way, doing well so far as Steve Bosley tries to go for a move, but overcooks it, hits a damp patch and allows Sean Briley through, and in the end it was actually quite neat as it all went. There was no contact, and Bosley has been able to get back on it. And this time Briley tries to go for the inside for hairpin 2, but just backs out of it. The damp patch approaching. Nick Trafford here still on the rear of Alex Pritchard with Vinod Hirani, a fellow subclass mate in the super heavyweights, on his tail as well. Obviously the highest placed super heavyweight is your current overall race leader there in Richard Newton, so that's not for super heavyweight honours overall for now, as Sean Briley this time looking for any which way. Newton is over to driver's right and manages to position his car well just to deter that move from Sean Briley. We don't want to see people moving around and weaving, but that was firm but fair for my money. That was really good defensive driving actually from Richard Newton. He's identified that if you're going to get overtaken through stadium, it's early. It's in the first half of going through stadium. So he's just pulling himself to the inside, making it difficult for any driver, in this case Sean Briley, to get down the inside on that initial third, say, of stadium corner, because as we saw with Steve Bosley a few laps ago, you cannot get the move done in the latter stage. It's too damp in that kind of final quadrant on the inside line. You know, you almost he's using the track as a defense mechanism in itself. This is very wise driving. Oh, and there's the damp patch there. You just saw Sean Briley go over it there as well. Yeah, he's positioning his car perfectly. Or just go to the left slightly to deter a move this time, just on the very limit of where the dry patch remains, leading up to hairpin 1. Beautifully positioning his car, as Andrew says, just enough to deter the moves where Sean Briley has maybe a pace advantage. Oh, this might be a chance. Well, no, I think he'll be good. He'll have the inside line, and unless Briley's going to send it down the inside, he is going to try. Oh, brilliantly judged, though, by Richard Newton. And Sean Briley is, obviously, he's got plenty of pressure from behind as well, but now the top 6, everyone down to Chris Gristwood in the number 57, are part of this train. Richard's got a chance here. Yeah. He's got a real chance if he keeps doing this and playing the tactics spot on. And I think Howard's going to check, has he had a heat win so far this season? But this is brilliant from Richard Newton there, just again down the middle of the line. Briley trying to go all the way around the outside. Has simply not got the line, and he cannot get underneath. He cannot get underneath because of that almost train track line through into hairpin 2. Best heat finish win so far this year is a 3rd place for Richard Newton. It's also his best result in a trophy final as well, finished 3rd a couple of rounds ago. So, yeah, this would be a first win for him. The back marker, now that could come into things with, there'll be 2 more laps at least. The thing is, he just set a new personal best. It's not like the pace is bad. He set the fastest lap of the race, which immediately got beaten by Sean Briley, although, to be fair, Briley does have someone punching a hole in the air in front of him, which, although not a major thing in these go-karts, yeah, it is a back marker. And it's Joel Barnett, I think, who gets out of the way, and everyone streams through. That's well played by him there. And so this battle goes on, and this is going to go around to start the final lap this time. Richard Newton is doing a fantastic job, one of the best bits of defensive driving I've seen. You know, he has got a weight disadvantage, you know. He is at the 95 kilo mark, of the super heavies, but he's doing everything he needs to do.
I'm getting Gilles Villeneuve
Yeah.
vibes of Yarama 1982 here, especially with 5 other karts behind him.
Absolutely.
Nobody is getting through. Again, Newton just holds the inside line, nice and calm into hairpin 1.
Riley's going to try and get that switch back.
Yeah, there's no overlap going on there, although this is a chance for Sean on the inside. This time he's got to run, but can Richard Newton hold it around the outside? We've seen plenty of people do this so far today. Steve Bosley's going to get involved, and yes, Richard Newton does hold on to the lead. He's just got to do that for one more lap, and he's going to take his first victory of the season.
Absolutely, and Bosley is through on Sean Briley as well, so there won't really, unless Bosley gets extremely good drive, there will not be a challenger coming into stadium this time. This has been a fantastic drive, a standout drive from Richard Newton so far. The top 6 all want to try and get on to win this race, but he is just driving beautifully, positioning his car. Here he goes again to the far left-hand side of the dry patch, and meanwhile behind him, Sean Briley and Steve Bosley are going to go side by side. He'll not have a challenger unless Bosley's going to be very bold. No, he's not. And this is looking good for Richard Newton as Sean Briley tries to tuck underneath Steve Bosley, but has to slot back into position as well. And behind him is Alex Pritchard as well through Complex Nouvelle. This has been a beautiful drive from Richard Newton. He has positioned himself so well throughout, and he has been able to hold off in an amazing drive. Richard Newton, what a win in heat number 5. I am well impressed by that defensive driving. That is some of the best defensive driving I have seen in a long time in this Club 100 series. Steve Bosley in second, Sean Briley in third, Alex Pritchard fourth, and it's Nick Trafford.
And look at the delight.
Yeah, look at it. He's so impressed, and that's a popular win as well. I am so impressed by it. And that was all clean, all fair. Brilliant stuff from Richard Newton. That is how you drive defensively, and he takes his first heat win of the season at the very least. I think possibly his first ever, to be honest.
Yep.
That was brilliant, brilliant stuff.
We'll take a short break. Next up out on circuit will be heat number 6.
That's my drive of the day so far.
Same.
Richard Masterton starts this one from pole. Lewis Ridd alongside Bradley Parrott and Matt Warman on row 2. Blake Templey and Oliver Moss on row 3. Jonathan Elliott and Anwar Birel Smith are on row 4 with Jordan Salter and Jack Bolton to round out your top 10. Bill Taylor and Redford James are on row number 6. Row 7 will be Luke Phillips and Sonny Cundy, with Jonathan McCady and Simon Kavanagh on row 8, and James Fremont rounding out your 17 kart grid. After this one, we will be halfway through our heat races ahead of the all-important C, B and A finals. Are we going to be good for a start? I think we're going to be okay. It's a late pull across maybe from the pace kart, but here we are, we're okay. Lewis Ridd trying to get to the middle of the track there from grid 2, but it is Richard Masterton who leads them into stadium, and Lewis Ridd cuts in, and is that going to go the way that it went for Ed Bars? No, it's not. He's able to hang in there. I'm not sure if the grip levels allow him to do this, as they all jostle for position on the first lap, breaking down into hairpin 1. Matt Warman there in third place now, as they all work their way through, and Jack Bolton having to take to the escape road. Got to be careful, as Andrew said, with water coming back onto the track. Everyone's through hairpin 2 all right as well, so maybe it is starting to dry out a little bit there again, as there's a track limit warning for Jack Bolton for going off there, as Anwar Birel Smith with a very late dive to the inside on Bradley Parrott, I think that might have been. No, excuse me, it was Jonathan. I'm going to have to double check who it was. It was Blake Templey.
Yep.
It was Blake Templey.
Yep.
In the 100, excuse me for that confusion. But Masterton leads, but Lewis Ridd here.
That's a bump and pass for Anwar as well.
Yeah.
So that's costly. That's 4 positions.
It really is costly, and that's not what he needed. As there's Matt Warman opening up a gap, sorry Andrew, on Masterton, because Lewis Ridd has got by for the lead. It's a change for the lead and a battle for second.
That automatically undoes all the work that Anwar did in his first race, because the best result Anwar can hope for now in this race is 5th.
Yeah.
So we think before, in the first rotation, Joe Holmes got a 5th, Anwar got a win.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Lewis Ridd leads then. Second place driver in the Class 2 standings coming into today, so he will be grateful for the points. There's Matt Warman on the tail of Richard Masterton in the battle over second place. Jordan Salter, haven't mentioned him much at the moment. There he is in fourth. And Jonathan Elliott in fifth. This is Jack Bolton on the tail of Blake Temple. In fact, he goes wide, and that's going to allow Oliver Moss through, our Heat 1 winner. As here is Anwar Burrell-Smith going through on Jonathan Elliott.
So Anwar is making progress through the field. As I say, he's got that 4-place penalty to be served at the end of this race, dependent on wherever he finishes. There's Matt Wildman just trying to find a way past Richard Masterton. And as we've seen in the previous race, you know, overtaking is not easy at the best of times around this Rye House circuit, but particularly at the moment. Mistake there from Masterton. He just ran a little bit deep. And in fact, there's a couple of drivers off there, so maybe there was a little bit of water down into hairpin 1.
Yeah,
that's Masterton out of this race.
I think that was Bradley Parrott as well, maybe, who spun, but we'll confirm the next time they're around. Anwar Burrell-Smith now on the back of Jordan Salter. This is over 4th place.
The 3rd place now with Masterton off
point,
the road. So Matt Wildman closing in on Lewis Ridd. Matt Wildman really closing in on Lewis Ridd and going for the lead here at Rye House.
It was Bradley Parrott and Blake Templey as well, the other drivers who spun off there at hairpin 1. You can see them dropping down the time. So Lewis Ridd, well, did lead coming onto this lap, but it's now Matt Wildman who's going very wide, but manages to get round nonetheless. Lewis Ridd in 2nd, Anwar Burrell-Smith 3rd, Jordan Salter in 4th, and then Jonathan Elliott in 5th. Another driver we haven't mentioned too much, but he's right there. Here's Jonathan Elliott.
Spin under yellow penalty for James Fremont, currently in 14th position. So he will lose some positions at the end of this race. Anwar Burrell-Smith trying to get his way past Lewis Ridd for 2nd place on the road. Jordan Salter not too far behind, and Anwar does go to the inside through stadium. He's got that one. He's got that one done. Oh, Lewis hit a wet patch there. Did very well to check up and get the karts back under control. He has lost another position, though, to Jordan Salter there in the blue suit and the white helmet.
Yeah, absolutely. And now has Jonathan Elliott for company. There in the number 12 in the orange and white helmet. And also in an orange and white helmet, though, is Matt Warman running well at the lead of this one, but Anwar Burrell-Smith, as Andrew says, the best that Anwar can finish is 5th, because he has a 4-place penalty now for a robust attempt at an overtake on the first lap. Sets the new fastest lap of the race, 44.567, closes in on Warman by over half a second on that one, as Jonathan Elliott continues to pressure Lewis Ridd for 4th place. As I say, Lewis Ridd, 2nd in the Class 2 standings coming into today. Has got a bit of a mountain to climb, though, to get on to terms with your leader in that class, Miguel Hall. Shout out to Simon Kavanagh, highest placed of your Class 3 runners at the moment, in 8th place. He's had some good runs this season, has Kavanagh. And there's some good battling going on in your Class 3 runners towards the back of the field as well as some recovering drivers now. Richard Masterton amongst them after that spin at hairpin 1. 90 seconds just over left on the clock, and there's a real lead battle going on here. Matt Warman, who's driven really nicely this season, just does enough there to deter Anwar Burrell-Smith from diving down the inside at hairpin 1. Into hairpin 2 they'll go. Nice widening out entry at that hairpin. Saying it earlier today, it's an unusual hairpin in that it's all tight at the start and then opens out on onto the back straight. I often think of it, I know this sounds ridiculous, but I often think of that corner as a yawn where you take in a very sharp intake of breath beforehand. It's like, now's the exit.
It's actually a resumption of a battle that we had yesterday in the E60 race in very different conditions, very wet for round 7 of the E60 yesterday. Matt Wildman finished 2nd ahead of Briers Racing, which is the combination of Anwar Burrell-Smith and Sean Briley. As you say, Howard, Matt has been very, very strong in whichever series he's raced in Club 100 this year. He's done a lot of the E60. He's always been on the pace. Can he hold out here for this victory on the road? Even if he gets overtaken by Anwar Birel Smith as they head onto the final lap, he will still take the victory. But Jordan Salter's still there as well. About a second and a half behind.
Last lap board out. This is a battle. Jack Bolton on the rear of Oliver Moss over 6th place, side by side through Stadium. And there is the damp patch for Moss that I think was the same one that Lewis Ridd hit a few laps ago. And it allows Jack Bolton through. And Oliver Moss not too happy about it, but that was firm but fair for me from Jack Bolton. Gets himself up into 6th place. There's Jonathan Elliott up the road ahead of him. I think he's just a little too far ahead for Bolton to have a go at him. But here is your lead battle then. Opportunities wearing out here, running out indeed for Anwar Birel Smith. It looks to me like Matt Wildman just needs to guide his car round this last corner, and he will come across the line to take the win in heat number 6. It's an impressive win for Matt Wildman by 77 thousandths of a second from Anwar Birel Smith, who sets the fastest lap on the last lap, trying to pursue it. Jordan Salter, driving well, finishes 3rd. Lewis Ridd in 4th, 5th for Jonathan Elliott, Jack Bolton in 6th. Ahead of Oliver Moss, Bill Taylor in 8th, 9th was Luke Phillips. Simon Kavanagh rounds out your top 10. Well done to Luke Phillips, by the way, highest placed Class 3 runner. Bradley Parrott, Blake Templey had to do a recovery drive after that spin at hairpin 1. Jonathan McCady in 13th, Richard Masterton in 14th, also had that spin. Sonny Cundy in 15th, James Fremont in 16th, and Redford James 17th of heat number 6.
5th win of the year for Matt Wildman in the heats. We're going to take a short break. And just as light rain starts to fall, we're going to have Heat 8 beginning in a few moments' time. Heat 7, apologies. We got a grid?
We have got a grid. David Longman, as we were saying earlier on, successful here in the past, starts this one from pole with Paul Goddard alongside Lenny Wood and Andrew Cherry are row 2 with Stephen Downs and Paul Williams on 3. Dave Pethers and Lee Henderson start on row 4 with Darren Townsley and Harrison Wedgbury rounding out your top 10. Wayne Dunham and Richard Neal make up row number 6. Lewis McKinnon and Chris Wharton are row 7. Darren DeMatia and Martin Robinson are row 8. And then on row 9, 17 karts in this one, Elliot Muse in the number 145. Are we going to be good for a start this time around? It's going to be, yeah. So David Longman in the 90, on your left, driver's right, eyes on the lights, engine notes rise. Paul Goddard trying to bounce up and down to get some traction off the line, but Lenny Wood is going to be trying to go down the inside of him, and there's Paul Goddard hitting that damp patch. Several people hitting that damp patch as they go through Stadium there. They all managed to come through quite cleanly, it seems to me. Lenny Wood has managed to get up into 2nd. There's the 13 of Darren Townsley trying to make a move on Andrew Cherry in that number 16. Not sure if he managed to make it stick. Paul Williams is trying to get his way through. Delighted to say that Lee Henderson has not had a spin this time as he did in his first heat, so it's already going better for him. As there's a contact warning for Andrew Cherry. I imagine that might be for what happened down at hairpin 1, as I think a Club 100 sticker went wild off the back of Lenny Wood's kart then as they come through the final corner to come around to finish lap 1. It is David Longman with a look at this side by side for 2nd place between Goddard and Wood, and Wood did cross the line ahead, but Goddard managed to slip down the inside as there's a big moment that's happened here for Darren Townsley. And was that on the exit of Complex Nivelle?
Yes, it was. He's got going again. The intake of breath was the 3 wide off of Stadium, but they just about managed to get everything sorted. And a deal to get through the corner unscathed. Stephen
Downs was pressuring Paul Goddard for 3rd going into hairpin 2, but he overcooked it and it allowed Dave Pethers to actually get by him. So it's now Goddard in 3rd, Pethers in 4th, Downs in 5th. Dave Pethers has been having a great season as well, I have to say. Really has been driving very, very well. One of our Class 2 drivers in the wheel tracks of Paul Goddard now. Is there going to be a gap opening Stadium? There's a smidgen of one. He's going to make it work, and Goddard hits the damp patch, catches it well. Is it still raining, mate, or was it so short?
I think it's very light.
It's barely
very light.
Writing home about at the moment, but the damp patches that are still out there from the first bit of rain are causing enough problems at the moment. I mean, I'm really fascinated by how that incident, several races ago now, is still altering how they're approaching hairpin 2. Just no one wants to clean it up. As Lenny Wood in 2nd place there leads this battle through. round to finish the last lap. There's a bit of a gap now that David Longman has in hand.
The thing is, of course, as we get later into the day, the air temperature starts to drop. The natural drying of the track is going to be less and less profound. Contact warning for Stephen Downs and for Wayne Edwards. Here's your battle for second place. Wood ahead of Pethers, then Goddard, Downs. Downs of 5th place. Lenny Wood doing a similar job to what we saw Richard Newton do a few races ago, just positioning his kart nice and properly at this stage of the race, not giving any opportunity to Pethers to get underneath and through. This is all playing into the hands of David Longman, though. He's going to lead by more than 2 seconds at the end of this race, in the end of this lap, I should say. May well be at the end of the race as well. End of lap number 4, there it is. I say over 2 seconds, 1.998 now for the Class 1 driver.
You lied to us.
I know, like a politician. I'm going to say stop it to myself straight
yes,
away.
I was going to say. The battle for second place goes into hairpin 1. Stephen Downs on the back of it now as well. Further back from this train of karts, 2.6 seconds down the road is Andrew Cherry, battling now with Harrison Wedgbury because he's just got by Wayne Dunham for 7th place. Lee Henderson as well is having a battle with Paul Williams, where he's just relieved him of 9th place.
Not had any more reports of rain in the last couple of moments. Is up the inside, Pethers on Wood. Can he get the move done? He hits a little bit of one of those wet patches, but he's held it. He's got in there, and Paul Goddard on the scene. Can he hold on to 3rd place? Now Lenny Wood will have the inside line as they go into hairpin 1. Can he get it locked down? Yes, he can. So Lenny Wood recovers and holds onto that position. Stephen Downs is now going to have a look at getting past Paul Goddard there. Great racing from all 4 of these drivers. Pethers up to 2nd.
Agreed. What's interesting to me now, mate, is there is actually a damp patch on the inside and the outside of stadium that seems quite pronounced as the drivers hit it. And it's about, they're at different points around the corner, so you can almost get it where you go in side by side, the person on the inside gets compromised by dampness, and then the person on the outside gets compromised a split second later as they come round to begin lap number 7. Stephen Downs having a little look at Paul Goddard there, but Goddard covered it off nicely.
Track limit warning for Wayne Dunham in the 17. He is up to 8th place and leading in C3.
His namesake Wayne Edwards just got past Darren Dematia for 11th place, and indeed got past Lewis McKinnon as well. So a C2 driver there getting by some of our Class 3 novice drivers towards the back. But that's not to take away from them in lightweights this morning. If you didn't watch, we had some fantastic performances from the Class 3 ranks getting themselves up there. Some of those ranks bolstered by some of our young drivers coming in, which maybe you don't see quite so much in the heavyweights, but nevertheless we'll be looking for some impressive runs in from our Class 3 drivers as Paul Goddard sets a new fastest lap of the race, a 44.764 or 784. Need my eyes tested as they come round the middle section of the lap. Stephen Downs still putting pressure on him. David Longman 2.7 seconds to the good, and Dave Pethers, it has to be said, beginning to stretch his legs ahead of Lenny Wood at the front of this one.
I'm loving Paul Goddard's driving today, and Wilton Mill as well. We mentioned it was in great form. He's clearly right on the edge. I won't say ragged edge, but he is right on the edge of that car. You see him into hairpin 1, just gives it a little bit of a lock-up, a little bit of tyre smoke comes off the rear axle, which is exactly what you kind of want in these conditions. You know, getting the maximum braking effort out of the kart round here at Rye House is really crucial, and he's having another very strong race. Here's Paul Williams.
Yep, he's defending against Darren Dematia.
But pushing, but in control is Goddard.
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne Edwards as well behind them here at the back of this 3-kart little battle.
20 seconds to go. David Longman continues to lead. The gap is down to 2.2 seconds, though.
It is.
Ahead of Dave Pethers. Is to the outside. Dematia trying to get away round Williams. Edwards is going to stick his nose in there, try and get 11th place for himself. Dematia half defence to the inside. Takes a big lump of curb, though. Yeah. That may leave him vulnerable down the pit straight. Williams looks over his shoulder, sees that no one is challenging challenging him into, easy for me to say, into stadium. Edwards down the inside. Nope, can't make it work, cannot get the position. But here comes David Longman for another victory round Rye House.
Absolutely, driven well, got a proven track record around here, and he continues that very successful history. David Longman crosses the line to take the win in heat number 7. Dave Pethers finishes a respectable second with Lenny Wood in third, Paul Goddard in fourth, Stephen Downs in fifth, Harrison Wedgbury, good drive from him, to sixth, Andrew Cherry in seventh, eighth for Lee Henderson, much better result than his first heat. Ninth for Wayne Dunham, highest place of our Class 3 novices, again does well for him as the highest placed person within that class within the championship, so retains that points lead. Paul Williams rounds out the top 10, Darren Dematia in 11th, 12th for Wayne Edwards, and it's Richard Neal, Lewis McKinnon, Chris Wharton, Martin Robinson we expect to come across the line in 16th, and then Darren Townsley, did he, he was in the wall, wasn't he?
Yep.
Did he continue to circulate? I'm not actually, yes, he did, so he will cross the line, unfortunately a little further behind everybody else. That was heat number 7. Next up is heavyweight sprint heat number 8.
We're rattling through them. This is the last race of the second rotation. Let's have a look at the grid for heat number 8 out of 12 here for the heavyweights. Harrison Darville has pole position. Alongside him on the front row, Matthew Hale. Miguel Hall and Steve Lindley go from row number 2. Dimitri Zeldin and Richard Allen looking for another win go from row 3. James Taylor and Jeff Lamb will go from row 4. Joe Holmes and Bradley Shears are in the midfield there on row 5. Adam Wright and Jaden Cadigan are on row 6. Jaden being the first of the C1s. Tim Williams and Andrew Berry are on row 7. Thies Payne and Dan Smith are on row 8. And then Frankie Bennett on his own there on row number 9. 17 karts in the field. So another interesting grid, this one. 2 very experienced drivers at the front of the grid, but not regulars this season in the Sprints Championship. Matthew Hale, normally an endurance driver. We had a brief chat to him before we came back up to the commentary box. He's very much looking forward to the return of the Team's Endurance Championship. For more information on that for 2021, head across to the website www.club100.co.uk. Are we ready for a start here? No, we're not. I think that's the first time we've had one of those today.
It's been like clockwork mostly, but I think Miguel Hall is off the back of the field. There he is.
You're absolutely spot on, Howard. So we'll have to get Miguel into his correct position there, the number 18. Don't bin it into stadium, Miguel.
Not raining at the moment as far as I can tell. It is still quite a breeze across the circuit, though. You can see any keen vexillologists, I always struggle on that word, any keen vexillologists out there. You've got plenty of flags.
I like that shot. That's a good shot there.
Yeah, it is. That is. Plenty of flags to look out for because they are fluttering quite aggressively in the breeze here. But it's neither a tailwind nor a headwind on the start-finish straight. It's a northeasterly breeze, so it's coming in from the driver's left as they go across. There it is. There you go. Flag waving there. Here at Rye House, near Hoddesdon, in Hertfordshire, England. Round 8 of your Club 100 Sprint Championship, streaming from Alpha Live. Let's go then with heat number 8. Harrison Darville leads them away in the number 73. Into stadium they go, side by side. Who's going to fare well on the damp patches there? We've got a driver around, and that's going to is Jeff Lamb, and it's going to force some drivers wide as well. But other than that, thankfully no one hit him square on, as it were. He had no nose-to-nose contacts. They all went their way through hairpin 1. Little bit of frustration for Miguel Hall, got balked there, trying to get past Matt Hale as they all worked through hairpin 2. Relatively clean first lap, though. Darville doing well to hold on to this one. Matt Hale still in second. Not too much change, actually, at the head of this field.
Adam Wright did really well there, just to keep his steering open a little bit. He knew there was a slight touch coming in. Lesser drivers would have been turned around by that, but he's carried on and should be there in the top 10. So end of lap 1. Harrison Darville leads for Matt Hale. Third for Miguel Hall. As past for 4th place goes Joe Holmes on Richard Allen. Steve Lindley in 6th. Challenging for the lead now is Matthew Hale. trying to get underneath into hairpin number 1. He's done it, you know. This is going to be a good move from Matt Hale. Can he hold on? No, where's Miguel Hall come from there?
Do you know what? I could see Miguel Hall eyeing that one up because Matt Hale had to go so far to the inside heading towards hairpin 1 that he hit the damp bit.
Yeah.
And Miguel Hall just went, well, I'm just going to sit on the standard line, wait for you two to drift wide because the inner player on that move was on the wet stuff, and he just seized the opportunity. Brilliantly read the situation there, did Miguel Hall, and he's been rewarded with the race lead at the end of lap number 2.
So big couple of laps coming here because look at the stalking of the number 1, Joe Holmes up the inside. Oh, gets his nose chopped off by Harrison Darville, who was like, no, I don't care that you're the reigning champion. I don't care you're in the lead this year. You're not getting through me there, Mr. Holmes. He's still in second place then. 4th place for Matt Hale at the moment, ahead of Richard Allen. Steve Lindley is holding himself well in 6th at the moment. James Taylor on the scene again in the super heavyweights in 7th. You just caught a sight of his green number plate at the back of your shot there. But this is a big important lap for Miguel Hall, because if he could just bridge a gap to the rest of the field whilst they fight for second place. Penalty for James Taylor, a bump and pass out there on the road.
That's costly.
It's not a takeout, and once again Darville just holds to the inside and Joe Holmes cannot get through. Adam Wright was underneath.
He has there.
Richard Allen, but Holmes is now up to second place. A little bit frustrated with Darville.
He did, but I think that was fair play from Darville, positioning his car generally quite. I'm not sure if we saw something, something that we didn't catch on the cameras, but it seemed firm but fair racing to me. He's got the job done either way now, has Joe Holmes, up into second place. And the question is, indeed, has Miguel Hall got enough in hand, and has he got enough pace to keep himself ahead? Matt Hale resumes his battle with Harrison Darville over 3rd place now it is.
Tim Williams is up to 10th place and crucially is the leader in C3. It's good driving there from the 157. Miguel Hall continues to lead. It's 1.1 seconds over Joe Holmes, who sets the new fastest lap of the race so far, 44.467. There's James Taylor and Richard Allen fighting over 6th place. Richard Allen already has a race victory today. Looking solid again throughout the weekend, and just like this Rye House circuit. Steve Lindley just behind there as well, having a stronger run in his second appearance of this sprint event.
I'd say this is a tasty battle over super heavyweight honours, but James Taylor does have that penalty hanging over him, so it's not a real battle for it. On to lap number 6 we go, a new fastest lap of the race, a 43.938 from Joe Holmes. He's reeled in the gap to Miguel Hall by another 0.4 of a second on that last lap. Jeff Lamb working his way up through the order, has just got by Dimitri Zeldin, you can see there on the side of your screen. So too is Frankie Bennett, got past Andy Berry for 11th, so plenty of battles happening further down the order. This is the battle over 6th place.
Joe Holmes right on the rear bumper of Miguel Hall now as they come round the final corner. So expect to see Joe Holmes trying to set up a move into the next lap or so. Here they are across start finish into Stadium Corner. The gap is now 0.2 of a second, and Joe Holmes is in the 43s.
Points leader in Class 2 versus points leader in Class 1 here. And Holmes, will he look down the inside of hairpin 1? He will. And he made that look extremely easy, to be perfectly honest. It's not actually been that many moves down the inside that we've seen into hairpin 1. There were plenty of damp patches to deter it for the first few hours of the day. And to be fair, because it is the classic place to overtake, everybody is bold on the brakes there.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually... well, it's fairly unusual I execute an overtake, but it's unusual I execute an overtake into that corner just because everyone is so confident on the brakes into it.
So also, I find it's quite a short braking zone as well. There's not much space to get a bit of an overlap going.
No.
And talking of overlaps, here's Harrison Darville and Adam Wright fighting over 4th place, coming out of Stadium and towards hairpin number 1. Matt Hale just ahead of them there in 3rd place.
I mean, if you're Miguel Hall, you're actually versus...
oh, big send from Adam. Well done. That was very nice. That's the first time we've seen one of those into hairpin 2 for a while. So hairpin 2 is back on the menu as an overtaking opportunity now that the mud and the water that we had dragged on, what was it, 3 or 4 races ago has now cleared.
Yep.
There is width in there to get two karts side by side.
Absolutely. Matt Hale there, running in third place.
Bump and pass penalty for Steve Lindley, currently in 7th place.
Presumably be for a move on James Taylor because he's just got by on that lap. So, however he did it, he got a track limit warning as well, did Steve Lindley. So, not winning too much favour with the clerk of the course at this precise moment in time. Here he is battling with Richard Allen, and James Taylor is going to be cheeky, spot the opportunity and come through as well. And even more spotting the opportunity is Tim Williams, highest place of the Class 3 runners. Beautifully read situation, takes both of them by the time they get to Complex Nouvelle. Lovely stuff there from Tim Williams.
And of course, he's gaining positions in terms of penalties as well, because both Taylor and Lindley have spots to be penalised by at the end of the race. This would be a bit of a scalp for Tim Williams if he could beat the reigning super heavyweight champion. Oh my goodness, James Taylor going for a move there that was a bit ambitious on Richard Allen. Both of them managed to not spin out there. We are on the last lap. Joe Holmes looking to close out another victory here in Club 100, his first of the day. And we mentioned earlier how Anwar Birel Smith had negated the work he'd done in Heat 1 by picking up a penalty in his second heat. Well, here it's all square now because Joe Holmes takes the win. So that's a first and a fifth for him so far, same as Anwar. Second for Miguel Hall. Third for Matt Hale. Fourth, Adam Wright. Fifth, Harrison Darville. Sixth on the line will be Steve Lindley, but has a penalty. So Tim Williams is your C3 winner in 7th on the road, followed by Richard Allen, James Taylor, and Frankie Bennett. Good drive there from Frankie. That'll be good points for him as well. Jeff Lamb in 11th after having a spin on turn 1. Andy Berry 12th. Bradley Shears 13th. Demetrius Eldin, Thijs Payne, Jaden Cadigan, and Dan Smith. Those were your 17 runners in that one.
I have to say, I do wonder where Tim Williams would be placed in those Class 3 runnings had he have done the full season. This is his 4th round, and he is coming on leaps and bounds as he gets into this Club 100 racing. Next up then is heat number 9.
Here's a grid for heat number 9. First of rotation number 3. Jack Bolton and Vinod Hirani on the front row. Chris Griswood and Matt Wildman, row 2. Paul Goddard and David Longman, row 3. Lenny Wood and Matt Kendall go from row 4. Blake Templey and Stephen Downs on row 5. Paul Williams and James Fremont on row 6. Chris Kirk and Luke Phillips on row 7. Darren Damatia and Joel Barnett wrapping out the 16 kart field. Last chance for these drivers in the heats. So if they've had good scores in the first 2, they'll be looking to consolidate their places in the A final. If they've had not so good heats, this is the one they need to do well in to get themselves further up the standings before we go into the finals. Jack Bolton on the left of your screen, number 6. Vinod Hirani on the right. Away we go then here in heat number 9. And it's a good start for Bolton. I think following through as well will be Chris Griswood in the number 57. They were all through stadium for the first time. Paul Goddard's had a good start as well. Matt Wildman just nipping past Lenny Wood there as they go into hairpin number 1 now. Can they all fit through? Paul Williams is on the inside there, 3 wide. There or thereabouts, everybody is still running in this one. Yeah,
it was good that they all kept it together there. As Stephen Downs struggling a little bit for pace coming onto that back straight. Pulled over to driver's right quite sharply off the racing line as there's a contact warning for Paul Goddard. Doesn't want to pick up too much more of that. Jack Bolton, though, has managed to lead across the line. Or seems a bit unhappy about something there. He was just sort of throwing his arm around to go, oh, that's not quite how I want it. Paul Goddard in second, Chris Griswood third. Matt Wildman battling away.
Oh.
Matt Wildman with fantastic pace off of stadium. Something held up the 2 ahead of him in the form of Goddard and Griswood. Not sure what's gone on there, but Wildman's got himself up into second, and Griswood is going to have an advantage on Goddard. He's going to try and squeeze him. That's not going to work. Lenny Wood's going to come through and at least surely capitalise on Griswood being off the pace. No, Griswood does manage to hang on to that position as David Longman and Stephen Downs pressure Lenny Wood at the back of this. Stephen Downs, he had himself alongside there enough to put himself onto the driver's right there. A lot of battling going on in the top 10 here, but Jack Bolton leads. Matt Warman now confirmed up to second. Paul Goddard here in third. I'm not sure what happened to them, really, coming through Stadium. I wonder if they got side by side, Goddard and Gristwood, and just slowed each other down. That allowed Warman through. As now into hairpin 1. Gristwood's having a look again, but can't get the job done as Goddard swoops back in off of driver's right. And Lenny Wood now all over the back of Gristwood once again. It's a repeat of the last lap, but again, I think Gristwood will slot back in and hold on to his 4th position that he's clutching to rather dearly at the moment, ahead of Lenny Wood, David Longman, and Stephen Downs.
To repeat the P word again, patience, and picking the right moment to get over. Oh, Gristwood on the grass there, not too happy there with Paul Goddard, and track limit warning for the number 11 as well.
I thought we were going to have a pass on the grass there, but the grip difference between the tarmac and the grass at the moment is quite acute.
Goddard with an error, and they're going to be side by side here. Now, can Gristwood go for a bit of a switch back as they come out of hairpin number 2? Can he get the drive on? Yes, he can, and he should have the inside line now for the next sequence of corners. No, Goddard sweeps back in. Great recovery there from Paul Goddard.
It's very robust, but it's very good and very entertaining so far, and crucially on the right side of the stewards at the moment. This is the lead battle, though. Matt Warman has reeled in Jack Bolton here as they come through Stadium, and Bolton will lead him towards hairpin 1. Warman's found the gap. Is he strong on the brakes? He is strong on the brakes, and beautifully done move from Matt Warman takes him up to the lead of the race ahead of Jack Bolton. That was a lovely move to get Warman to the front.
Not much Jack Bolton could have done about that. Tried to turn in, and there was a Matt Warman there.
I think Bolton's not too happy with something on his car. He keeps on gesturing or looking at the engine at the side of his cart. So I'm not sure he's 100% happy with his machinery on this occasion. Can I just give a shout out, because it's been so much, the racing comes at us so thick and fast during the heat. Just a shout out to Jan007, who's been interacting with plenty on Twitter today.
At @double-mm.
At @double-mm, hashtag Club100 Live. Man, I hope this isn't the final round of Club 100 season of 2020, because this racing is awesome. Thanks to Howard, Andrew, and the entire Alpha Live crew for the awesome coverage. Well, thank you very much, Jan007. We do love bringing this coverage. We hope it's not the last round as well. Only time will tell on that. Obviously, conversations ongoing. One of the rounds that was to be staged after this one, at least, is technically in the period post the proposed lockdown, but we'll just have to wait and see. Unfortunately, either way, this is the last round that we're streaming of this season. We should be clear on that one. But as we mentioned earlier, the 2021 calendar has provisionally been announced. Plenty to look forward to, and also with the provisional announcement, there should be some streamed action of that as well. So look out for that. Thank you very much for your support today, and thank you for your kind words.
Should mention as well, even in these tough times for everyone really, not just individuals but businesses as well, prices frozen for entries into 2021. So the same price as 2020.
Very good point.
Into next year, which is very, very kind of JV and the team.
Yeah, and there's a general. Yeah, Jack Bolton clearly not happy with something, is he? There's all sorts of great things that I think JV and the crew are doing. You know, obviously working with Willie Chew as he does for the BUKC. The allowance this year going into the new BUK season as
Longman at the Longman down the inside of Goddard there for 4th place. Stephen Downs trying to fight through as well, but I think Goddard's going to just slip in there. Yes, he is, and retain 5th.
Yep. And I don't think Downs had much choice, but that's the first time I've seen someone happily go through the muddy patch on the entrance to hairpin 2. But just to finish the point, the fact that they've allowed you know, drivers who would typically end their association with the BUKC through graduation have been allowed to progress and compete if they're able to in the next season of BUKC, whenever that gets going. Obviously, we wait to see what happens, because one of those rounds was due to take place on the 14th of November, so we'll have to wait and see. But it's concessions like that, it's stuff like that. You know, I think it's very indicative of, and I'm not saying this just because we're sat here working with them right now. You know, is one of the great things about Club 100. They really want to facilitate the racing for everybody, and they'll do what they can, you know, to make it possible for the community in difficult times to keep this show on the road, because it means a heck of a lot to a lot of people. This is how they go racing. This is their motorsport.
And again, thanks to the governing body as well, because a lot of the means by which we've been able to run events this season would not have been possible without the assistance and guidance from Motorsport UK. So thank you to the governing body and everything they've done there.
I agree.
And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for November and December that's okay. If we're not able to run, that there will be some forms of karting out there. Watch this space. Here is the last lap, though. Matt Wildman going through the last couple of corners, and he's going to take another victory here. This is a very good day so far for Matt Wildman. We talked about race win number 5 earlier on. Well, there's race win number 6 in 2020 for Matt Wildman. He takes heat number 9 ahead of Jack Bolton, who wasn't happy with the kart, but it's good points from there in second. Chris Gristwood in third, and top C2 runner Dave Longman, more good points for him in fourth. That should see him into an A final, I think, just there or thereabouts. Paul Goddard in fifth, sixth for Stephen Downs, Lenny Wood seventh, Paul Williams strong again there in eighth, Matt Kendall ninth, Luke Phillips in 10th. Luke Phillips was your top C3 runner.
Yes.
Chris Kirk, Darren Damatia, Vinod Hirani, Blake Templey, James Fremont and Joel Barnett wrapping out the runners in that one.
Yeah, Luke Phillips, I said this for Tim Williams a moment ago. Luke Phillips, another driver. One wonders how he'd have got on in the points overall had he done the full season.
Yeah.
But hey, it's the rookie season, the novice season, so it's all about getting used to it. We are getting ready though for heat number 10. Let's go straight into a grid then for this one. Heavyweight heat number 10 is going to be headed up by Bill Taylor with Harrison Wedgbury alongside Anwar Burrell-Smith and Matt Hale make up row number 2 with Lewis Ridd and Richard Masterton on row 3. James Wortman and Alex Pritchard on row 4 with Oliver Moss and Jonathan Elliott rounding out the top 10. Elliot Muse and Frankie Bennett on row 6. Then it's going to be Jaden Cadigan and Redford James on 7. Row 8 has Dan Smith and Tyce Payne, and then Chris Wharton and Wayne Edwards round out your 18 kart field as they're coming round now. It has generally been like clockwork from the for the rotation of these races today. It really has been really very impressive how they've rotated it, as it always is, but just particularly on the money today. Bill Taylor then leads them away. Engine notes rise as we get going. A bit of frustration from some people there. Amon Burrell-Smith did not get the start that he wanted as they stream into stadium for the first time. Still some damp patches there that Jonathan Elliott's just having a bit of an investigation of there, running a little bit wide, but they come through nonetheless to come into hairpin one. Matt Hale trying down the inside of Harrison Wedgbury and makes it stick. That was from quite a way back, and it's allowed Anwar Burrell-Smith as well through, but Wedgbury is on the inside and he gets Anwar Burrell-Smith back. Brilliant stuff there from Harrison Wedgbury as now Lewis Ridd gets his nose alongside Burrell-Smith, but Burrell-Smith shuts the door as they come through pylon and through the right-hander at Complex Nivelle. Alex Pritchard battling away as well with, I think that was Oliver Moss, working his way up the field. Indeed it was. It's the 77 versus the 44 again for those Mercedes fans out there. At the end of lap 1 though, Bill Taylor leads, Matthew Hale in second, Harrison Wedgbury in third, Burrell-Smith and Lewis Ridd your top 5. Actually not your top. Anwar Burrell-Smith has now got by Wedgbury through stadium, so up into third place, as that is in the grey suit and white helmet. That is Wedgbury now defending against Lewis Ridd, as behind them Oliver Moss trying to get by on Alex Pritchard but can't make it stick at the moment. Again, Lewis Ridd has a strong back straight here. Is he ahead enough to go round the outside of pylon and into Complex Nivelle? Yes, he is. Nicely done by Lewis Ridd. Don't think that's the first time we've seen him do that move today, but he does it very well. As coming across the line now, this is Bill Taylor going well here. Matt Hale in second against Anwar Burrell-Smith again. I say again because I think we saw this pairing up a few races ago.
Alex Pritchard has also had a helmet change. He's gone to a full black helmet now. He's obviously worried about the rain.
I was just checking. I thought I was right. Bill Taylor has had a heat win already this year, so this would not be the first if you can hold on to it. But we've already seen one valiant defence from a super heavyweight driver at the head of the field in the form of Richard Newton. which is still my driver of the day so far. Fantastic, fantastic defensive driving. Not to put the pressure on Bill. It's two tough drivers he's got behind him here. And Matt Hale is on the inside. Birel Smith, I think, senses the opportunity and takes a more conventional sweeping line in to Stadium. Nose to tail here as they head towards the hairpin. Matt Hale kind of has to go for the move because otherwise Birel Smith is going to take from it. And another really nice move under the brakes from Matt Hale into the hairpin. Hairpin 1 into hairpin 2 they go. Birel Smith will try and tuck underneath Bill Taylor, but it's not going to work there. Taylor has good drive down the straight in the number 58 kart. And Birel Smith, if he's going to go for the move, he's going to have to wait. As Andrew has said throughout the day, and I agree, patience is a key around here. No point sending it into a gap that's going to close on you. Matt Hale, though, your new leader, as they come on to lap number 5.
Anwar trying to do a little bit of a switch move there. He's got it done. That is so well done by Anwar, using all of that experience, all that championship material. A former champion at this level, of course, back in 2015. And knew there was going to be grip on the inside. Trusted the karts, trusted the circuit to get that move done on Bill Taylor. And not a moment too soon, because they're working together very nicely. Rid, Pritchard and Moss, 4th, 5th, 6th. Now I think they're closing in, Howard.
Yeah, and Moss did well to get by on Harrison Wedgbury on the last lap as well. So he's only just got himself into that little pack of karts working together. But working together they are. In fact, Oliver Moss clearly has good pace because he's looking for a way past Alex Pritchard here. I mean, we said they're working together. They were having a little look there, trying different lines through there. But on the whole, they are closing up onto the back of Bill Taylor ahead of them quite nicely, of these three in the form of Rid, Pritchard and Moss. Further down the field, Jonathan Elliott just got past James Wortman. That's for 9th place. As Lewis Rid leads them through pylon. Right-hander at Complex Nivelle. Don't want to use any of the curb there. There's sort of quite juddery curbs on the inside of that corner. And you certainly don't want to hit the curb there at Paddock, because I'm not sure the camera does it justice, but it unsettles the kart something rotten. To be honest, it's quite the curb on the inside of Paddock here. This curb on the inside of Stadium is lovely, but physics pushes you away from it, so it doesn't matter if it's lovely by the time you get around the latter part of the corner. And you can see now Lewis Rid has really closed onto the back of Bill Taylor. Here, though, is your lead battle, Matt Hale. It is good that we've been able to feature him on a stream, because as we've been saying, doesn't do too much of the sprint racing in Club 100, but very experienced in the endurance stuff. And Birel Smith in his wheel tracks at the moment through Paddock corner.
This will be a good chance for Anwar. He got a very, very good run out of the last corner. Will he try this switchback move again? He's going to go out wide, cut back inside. Yes, he is. He's got his nose alongside. Oh, Matt holds round the outside really well there from Matt Hale.
Yeah, that's really nice stuff from Matt Hale. He was wise to it, I think, coming down the start-finish straight as well. Just did that sort of, it's not a weave, but it's over to the right and then slightly back to the middle again. Just
trying to open the corner out and let the tyres do more work through that initial part of Stadium. I'll tell you what else this is interesting with. Of course, Matt Hale runs the G3 Pro effort. Who's their top driver in all of that on a Saturday? Joe Holmes.
Yes, it is.
This is helping Joe Holmes out quite a bit in the championship, keeping Birel Smith there in second.
Change for 4th place, because Pritchard has got past Lewis Rid.
And Pritchard now trying the Anwar move. Doesn't quite get underneath Bill Taylor there.
And unless I'm very much mistaken, that's somewhat significant in the championship. Alex Pritchard is away off the back of Lewis Rid, but he's in the right sort of ballpark.
Yeah,
fair as Alex Pritchard.
And he'll never give up, Alex Pritchard. He's one of the biggest fighters, I'd say, in the whole of Club 100. He really, really is someone who never knows when the chance is gone. He will keep trying all the way. They're going to go on to the last lap here. Matt Hale still leads from Birel Smith. Bill Taylor 3rd, Alex Pritchard in 4th. Here goes Anwar again. He's just set another new fastest lap of the race so far. Matt Hale beautifully covers that one off, but runs a little bit wide. Hits one of those wet patches, and that's the error. Anwar is through. The pressure has told for Matt Hale. It's been a great defensive job to keep Anwar behind for that many laps. But crucially, on the last turn through Stadium Corner, Anwar has got the position.
That was just good racing, wasn't it? You can't take anything away from Matt there. He was positioning his kart beautifully. He was just undone by the slight damp patch there.
Yeah.
And that was all the opportunity that Anwar needed, but fantastic stuff from both of them racing. And it is going to be Anwar Birel Smith who crosses the line to take the win in Heat 10.
And Matt Hale is furious with
Yeah.
himself. Oh, third on the line for Alex Pritchard. I
Lovely
told
stuff.
you, he never, ever gives up. And he's got that position there on the last lap ahead of Bill Taylor. 5th place goes to Oliver Moss. 6th to Lewis Reid. 7th to Harrison Wedgbury. Richard Masterton finishes in 8th. Jonathan Elliott in 9th. James Workman 10th. Frankie Bennett, top of the C3's 11th. Thijs Payne in 12th. Wayne Edwards 13th. Dan Smith 14th. Jaden Cadigan, Chris Wharton and Redford James wrapping out the field in that one. But another win for Anwar Birel Smith.
Absolutely. Absolutely very impressive stuff there from the former champion. Already out on track, though, are the karts for heat number 11. Let's go straight into the grid then for our penultimate sprint heat of the day before the finals. Good opportunity for Adam Wright to get some good points on the board here. 3rd place in the championship coming into today. He's on pole. Darren Townsley alongside Lee Henderson, Steve Lindley make up row 2 with Steve Bosley and Richard Newton on row 3. Row 4 is Miguel Hall and Dave Pethers, Dimitri Zeldin and Gary Miller on row 5. Row 6 is James Taylor and Jason Bear. And then it's Simon Kavanagh, Andy Berry, Jack Fowler and Tim Williams on row 8. And row 9 of your 18-kart grid is Chris Solomon and Sonny Cundy.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you for your continued support. Everyone watching at home, I hope you're enjoying the stream. 6 rounds will be streamed next year, just to remind you. All the information on www.club100.co.uk for 2021. Away we go then for the penultimate heat of the day in the heavyweights. Adam Wright takes us from pole position, gets a very good start. Anti-pole side of the grid sleeping there. Lee Henderson straight up into 2nd place. I think Steve Bosley followed him through as well. Are they all going to make it through Stadium Corner? Yep, just about. James Taylor's trying to work his way through. Has got past Simon Kavanagh there. Oh, big punt up the rear by the number 21 of Dimitri Zeldin. And there's a couple of spinners in the middle.
Yeah.
Was Dave Pethers one of them? I think he was.
Potentially. It will be easy to spot him as they come through, as it's a battling start from Simon Kavanagh there. It looks like he might have put himself up the way there. And Steve Bosley has got by on Lee Henderson as well. Adam Wright leads them through the final corner of this one. Yeah, I haven't seen Dave Pethers, so we're going to confirm this on timing as they come through. Adam Wright does lead, with Steve Bosley in 2nd, Lee Henderson 3rd, Miguel Hall and Steve Lindley. But dropping down the order is Dave Pethers. Good spot, mate. And Gary Miller as well. Jack Fowler has also had a spin. So, and there's a penalty for Dave and ABC takeout. So that's costly for Dave. That's uncharacteristic for him as the round as well. That looked like, was that Chris Solomon or was that Richard Newton actually?
I think it was,
I think it was Richard Newton. Excuse me, not Chris Solomon. There is Richard Newton. Well, I can't take anything away from him because he's already had an amazing heat win today. So fair play.
Day's already made.
It's good done.
Miguel Hall's got a really good shot here
Yes.
at further securing his position in the C2 lead. He's up to 3rd place. He's looking a little bit quicker than Steve Bosley at the moment.
Yep, Bosley in 5th in the Class 2 standings at the moment. He's in a battle with Jordan Salter and Chris Gristwood, both of whom have been racing. You can sort of tell from how those driving as Miguel Hall goes down the inside of him for second place indeed there for Miguel Hall. So good move.
Lights starting to fade here at Rye House. We will, I think, be seeing some floodlight action in the not too distant future.
JV was briefing the drivers and mentioning it is that time of year. Tinted visors not allowed once the floodlights go on. That's just some car headlights, they don't count. But it is something that the drivers have to bear in mind towards the latter part of the year. As James Taylor there was eyeing up a move on Darren Townsley. We cut away, but he was looking very racy there going into stadium section as Miguel Hall braking hard into hairpin one. Really braking, his car snapped quite aggressively into that corner. It is quite a sharp turn in. And James Taylor still behind Darren Townsley for now. Simon Kavanagh, again, doing really well. One of our Class 3 drivers who's really impressed this season in 8th place on the tail of these two.
Adam Wright's pace is very good at the moment. 44.476 last time around. Just make that a 44.289. He gets a little bit quicker. The lead is now 3.6 seconds. Just heard now 4:30, we think, is when the floodlights will be going on. So that will pretty much be for the start of the C final. James Taylor down the inside of Townsley, trying to find a way through.
Yeah,
way through there. Simon Kavanagh not too far behind there in the Cosmic Racing suit, number 61.
Good defensive job from Darren Townsley here to absorb all this pressure. Adam Wright is the only Class 1 runner in this one, so you've got to say this is his optimum opportunity to get those good points. This is Simon Kavanagh trying to tuck underneath James Taylor down the back straight, but he's going to have to cede the corner to him, because there is a point, isn't there, down the back straight where you just have to go, look, this won't end well for me if I keep it here. So it's good, prudent driving just to back off and patience. The theme of the day. If this was Sesame Street, the word for the day would be patience. Do they have a word for the day?
I don't know.
I don't know why we're asking. It's been a long time. Yeah. We're not regular viewers these days.
Lots of water there. And that's going to be trouble for anyone following in behind, because there's probably water dragged onto the circuit now. So watch for another load of drivers running on at hairpin 1. We've seen it a couple of times already today. Steve Lindley checking over his shoulder. There's nobody there, mate. You've got 3 seconds clear. Here we go. Called it.
Yeah.
And that is the number 72 of Chris Solomon out of the race. Now that is all caused by the water that's been dragged onto the circuit on the kink after Christmas.
Yeah.
Drivers hitting it through no fault of their own. They don't know it's coming. Adam Wright's just going through it now. The leader. Yellow flags will be out. In fact, and a slippery surface flag. Good work by the marshal on marshal post number 2. Whoa, Lee Henderson has a massive moment there. Nearly collects Chris Solomon, who wants to get out of there in a hurry. And in fact, it's spun. They've spun down at hairpin 1, and Steve Lindley's gone around the outside of both Henderson and Miguel Hall there. They're all struggling to get through hairpin 1 now.
What it was, Andrew, is that not only has there been some water brought onto the track, but they all had to go to the left of Chris Solomon, which put them on the damp patch ahead of hairpin 1. So they all dampened their tyres just a little bit. And that's what caused nothing that Chris Solomon could have done. He was recovering his car from where it had gone off, doing the right thing. He is now underway again, obviously with a highly compromised race, as there's a penalty for Miguel Hall, and that is for unsafe release. Well, not in the conventional sense. I'm not sure about that one, mate. I've not seen that.
It might have been something to do with how he restarted as Lee Henderson goes round and takes out Steve Lindley. Can they get going again? James Taylor's on the scene trying to find his way through. He's got past Henderson.
And Lindley's going to get away with it, I think. But yeah.
Look at Dave Pethers. Dave Pethers is back up to 7th place, having had his... I know he's got his takeout penalty to serve.
I will say this, mate. The cameras are making it look a little brighter than it really is. Oh, no, hang on. We've got the tinted windows as well.
We have got the tinted windows.
I should remember that. Either way, I'm going to stand by my point and make it anyway.
Oh, Lee Henderson is absolutely furious with himself. I think he'll be annoyed because that's 2 laps in a row where he's made the error down at hairpin 1.
It's 2 heats out of 3 where he's had a spin as well, unfortunately, because he had a spin in lap 1 of his very first heat. I'm still going to make the point that they're going to be glad when the floodlights come on at 4:30, I think, because it's not the brightest day out there at the moment, as James Taylor looks down the inside of Lee Henderson. There at hairpin 2, Dave Pethers now in his wheel tracks. Feels like it's been a bit of a busy one for the last few laps. This one, Adam Wright still leads, 3.8 seconds to the good. In fact, make that a bit more, 4.3 seconds to the good over Steve Bosley, who in turn has around the same gap ahead of Miguel Hall. But Miguel Hall now with a penalty. We know not of what magnitude, to be honest. I'm not sure. I presume it was something maybe to do with his positioning,
the way of the returning back, the way of returning back onto the circuit, having had a spin.
Oh, I see. Yes, sorry.
That's what I reckon it was for.
Right.
We'll see in due course. How good has Steve Bosley been in this race as well?
Yeah.
For me, one of the most underrated drivers in Club 100 in the last couple of years. Regularly solid, regularly high up there. Adam Wright takes the win, a big win as well in Heat 11. That's a good haul of points in his championship battle, and another driver with big relief there. Steve Bosley survives that one and takes 2nd place. Miguel Hall is 3rd on the road. Steve Lindley is giving a kiss to the camera there in 4th place. 5th for James Taylor, 6th Lee Henderson. 7th for Dave Pethers, but he has a penalty for a takeout on lap 1. Simon Kavanagh in 8th, Jason Bear in 9th, Darren Townsley in 10th, Andy Berry in 11th, Tim Williams in 12th, Sonny Cundy in 13th, Dimitri Zell in 14th, Richard Newton 15th. Now our last 3 finishers will be Gary Miller, Jack Fowler and Chris Solomon. There is Chris, there is Gary, and there is Jack. And Adam Wright's gone round for a victory lap.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Why
not
not?
even realised he's won. We've got one more heat to go.
He must be gutted in last place. He must be, oh, it hasn't gone well.
We've got one more heat to go. We're going to take a short break before it. Keep it locked here on Alpha Live for Club 100 Sprints Round 8.
I'm going to presume that the last lap board came out maybe a little late for him and he just wanted to make sure. Anyway, heat number 12, the last heat ahead of our finals. Matt Lambert starts this one from pole. Jordan Salter alongside Joe Holmes and Bradley Shears make up row number 2 with Nick Trafford and Harrison Darville on row number 3. Sean Briley and Bradley Parrott are on row 4 with Jeff Lamb and Andrew Cherry on row 5. Row 6 is Richard Allen and James Dunnett. Then it's Martin Robinson and Wayne Dunham on row 7. Row 8 is Richard Neal and Jonathan McCady, with Lewis McKinnon rounding out your 17 kart grid. The last of our sprint heats here today at Rye House, and indeed of what we are going to be able to stream this season. Floodlights are going on, so tinted visors are a no-no. I think the drivers who went out for this one might get a bit of leniency. Can see a few tints out there, but they came on literally as they were out on track. Here we go though. Eyes on the lights, engine notes rise. Matthew Lambert leads them away. Looks like a fairly even start from both sides of the grid. Oh no, the pole side is just getting a bit of an advantage now as Joe Holmes is going to swoop into 2nd place as they come round stadium for the first time. Is it all going to be nice and clean? Yes, it is. Still probably a little bit of water here and there from some of the incidents and accidents we saw towards the end of the last race. Is everyone going to make it through the apex of hairpin 1? It looks pretty good so far. Into hairpin 2 they go. And Joe Holmes has managed to tuck himself under Matthew Lambert there and gets to the head of the field. Nicely done from G3 Joe. And gets himself into the lead of the race. Looks to me like Nick Trafford has got himself into 3rd as Sean Briley further down the order is battling away with Richard Allen, who's not too happy with how some of those last few corners went for him. Joe Holmes leads then at the end of lap number 1. Matthew Lambert in 2nd with Nick Trafford in 3rd. Jordan Salter in 4th. Jeff Lamb rounding out your top 5 as Sean Briley still defending against Richard Allen through stadium, and Nick Trafford has got by Matthew Lambert now for 2nd place, so it'll be Jordan Salter now applying pressure to the number 129.
Nick Trafford needs a good race here for the simple reason he had problems in heat number 1 not of his own making, so he's got to make up for that. I think a realistic target is towards the front of the grid in the B final. Give himself a chance of getting one of those 2 spots from the B final into the A. If he doesn't, he's going to leave himself with a lot of work, especially on a circuit that is difficult to overtake. As we've seen so far today, Jordan Salter down the inside of Lambert into Stadium Corner, takes P3. Jeff Lamb just behind there in the Dayglow yellow helmet.
And Jeff Lamb could do with a decent result as
He
well,
could,
because
yep.
he had a problem in one of his heats as well, as Richard Allen tries to find a way through, but in doing so he gets bolted. Is Sean Briley going to be able to go around the outside? It's bold and it's going to have a bit of a connection there, pod-to-pod contact, but I think he's going to have the inside line for the next one as Bradley Shears is trying to go through as well. And yeah, Sean Briley has got the job done on Richard Allen there. Now Bradley Shears, he hits that curb on driver's right, which is never nice to hit, but he does hang in there. He's not going to get the move done, but at least he doesn't get taken by Harrison Darville and gets to hold on to 8th place.
End of lap 3 then, Joe Holmes leads the race by 1.5 seconds ahead of Nick Trafford. Jordan Salter confirmed up to 3rd, Matthew Lambert 4th, Jeff Lamb 5th, Sean Briley there in 6th place. Wayne Dunham, meanwhile, has got up 2 spots, is up to 13th place now. Leader in C3 at the moment is Richard Neal in the 75 as Harrison Darville goes down the inside, tries to get a move done on Richard Allen there, and well, he got Bradley Shears, didn't quite get Richard Allen, but may get Richard Allen on the drive out of hairpin number 2. They're going to be side by side. Richard Allen holds to the inside there. That's still 7th place for the super heavyweights leader. 4 minutes 15 seconds of this one to go. Joe Holmes continues to extend his lead, and you've got to think that at this stage he's got this one sewn up. Briley to the inside of Lamb, trying to get fourth place. Oh, and again the damp patch.
Yeah.
That dastardly damp patch.
I beg your pardon.
On the inside of... that was a Freudian slip then of what I say when I hit that patch.
Matthew
They're not good bit to touch. Don't touch it, Sean. But he's still there in 6th place.
He is, yes. Trying to find a way to get onto the back of Jeff Lamb, who in turn is trying to get past Matt Lambert. The floodlights are on here at Rye House. Still quite a cross breeze here on the circuit, but mercifully dry for now. So that's something I haven't checked for a while. This is the forecast saying we've got any dramas coming our way.
Good move there by Andrew Cherry. Just got down the inside of Parrott for P10. Number 16 on the move. This has been a good run from Matthew Lambert, the C2 driver, the 129. This is a good chance for points, having started from the front of the grid. Hasn't disappeared and fallen into the midfield, as we see sometimes with other drivers.
I think we're just about going to be okay for rain. There's some scheduled to start at 5:30, which I want to say is just as we're wrapping things up. So we might get away with this one.
Joe Holmes has just set a 43.775. His lead is now 3 seconds ahead of Nick Trafford. We're continuing with our battle here for 4th place. Matthew Lambert, Jeff Lamb and Sean Briley.
Oh, we said that very passively, but 43.775, very impressive pace from Joe Holmes in the lead of this one, extending his gap. Jordan Salter reeling in Nick Trafford for 2nd place. So that's going to be one. In fact, there they are, coming through your shot. So
that was a cone. That was a cone for Matthew Lambert. Just took it out there. So wait for the penalty to come up on that one. Jordan Salter is a lot less than 0.4 of a second behind Nick Trafford now. So he's had a good run through Stadium. The old Murrayism. Catching is one thing, passing is another.
Along the back straight. Into pylon corner, chuck it in. And then into Complex Nouvelle. Do you know what? It feels, it's kind of similar. Not in terms of the speeds, but in terms of your approach to pylon when it's in dry conditions. It's a bit like Oblivion at Wilton Mill. You've just got to throw it in.
Yeah.
You just got to throw it in. Don't take anywhere near as much curb as you do at Oblivion at Wilton. That's not recommended. You might have a bit of a sore back.
It's a real shame for Nick Trafford and Jordan Salter. Their pace is great. They're in the 43s. It's just they've got a Joe Holmes out ahead of him, who's just a little bit quicker.
Yes.
It's just done a 43.6. Nick Trafford soaking up the pressure at the moment from the number 42.
I want to give credit where credit's due to Matt Lambert, who's doing a fantastic job defending against the likes of Jeff Lamb and Sean Briley. I think that is a commendable effort there from Lambert. Started this one on pole.
Colin has been rewrited. Onto the last lap goes Joe Holmes then. I actually think I think Lambert's got away with one.
Yes. I was going to say, I always think if as Salter hits one of the damp patches, then that might be enough. That might give Nick Trafford just a little bit of gap he needs to hold on to this 2nd place.
Credit to Jordan Salter. That shows how hard he's pushing to try and get this 2nd place. Trafford checks over his right-hand shoulder, sees the gap, doesn't need to defend into hairpin number 2. He's got good straight line speed down into pylon corner. Joe Holmes is going to win the race. Here's still the battle for 4th place. Matthew Lambert holding out ahead of Jeff Lamb. Richard Allen has got through into 6th place, but there's Joe Holmes, and that is a very interesting situation in the championship. He has tied the results of Anwar Birel Smith. Nick Trafford holds on to 2nd place, 3rd to Jordan Salter, 4th on the line there is Matthew Lambert, Jeff Lamb 5th, Richard Allen 6th. Sean Briley might be a little bit disappointed there with 7th, Harrison Darville 8th, Bradley Shears 9th, Andrew Cherry wrapping out the top 10, Bradley Parrott in 11th, Richard Neal, your top C3 in 12th, then Jonathan McCaddy, Wayne Dunham, James Dunnett Lewis McKinnon and Martin Robinson are runners there. And that is it. That's all of our heats completed. Hello, everybody there. You can just about see us.
You can see it a lot better than earlier.
Idiots.
Because, yeah, hello. That's where we've been.
So now
that's where we've been. That's where we are.
That's what. Yes.
It's not on that much of a lag.
Bit of a pause now as we have all the maths done by race control to decide who is in the A, B, and C finals. As this is probably going to be our last little lull.
Yeah.
Of the streamed content for Club 100 2020. We had a look at it earlier with the lightweights. I think we should have a look at it again for those of us who weren't around for the lightweights. Calendar for 2021.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a belter.
It is.
As we say, 6 of the rounds in the Sunday Sprint Series will be streamed by Alpha Live with the commentary from ourselves. We're not quite sure which ones those will be yet.
Yeah.
But in fact, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, just after this short interlude with more content from Alpha Live.
So yes, Club 100, we are launching the first ever high-performance two-stroke arrive and drive series for young drivers. We're naming it the Young Drivers Championship, designed for 14 to 18-year-olds. So, 26 years Club 100's been racing now, and we've had thousands through the door enjoying their racing with us at that level playing field in a high-performance kart. Most of the drivers have tended to be sort of 18 plus, even going up to 70 years of age. And I think the awareness has not been there for the last couple of years that we can take drivers at the age of 14, in the year of their 15th birthday, they can race. So we thought it would be ideal to introduce something that attracts the younger driver and have them all racing as a group together, separate from the main Club 100 championships on a separate weekend. So young drivers out there looking at this video may be thinking, how does it work? What's it going to cost me? £1,400 is what it's going to cost you for a full season. 7 rounds of racing in the Young Drivers Championship with absolutely no hidden extras. So you're probably thinking, well, if we damage the car, do we have to bring our own fuel? Do we have to do anything with regards to tyres? No, everything is provided. Your transponder is provided for the timing. Even race kit is provided if you don't have your own racewear. Drivers just simply need to turn up and drive.
Hello, I'm Josh, I'm 15 and I'm from Norfolk. I've been racing in Club 100 for just over a year now. I really enjoy racing with these new karts. What I really like about Club 100 is the fact that no matter what driver level you are at, you will always have someone that you can race against because there are so many people. I really love racing in the quicker karts with the 2-stroke engines because I find it more fun. What I also enjoy is that everyone is on the same equipment and it's also pretty level, so it's all down to driver ability.
I'm Bailey Morgan, I am 14 years old and I am from Hastings. I started karting when I was 5 years old and I've been in Club 100 for about a year now. What I love about Club 100 is the sheer speed of the karts and how the brakes are really good at the same time and how each and every track is different in its own way. Well, it is really good because it's more clean, more fair, and the karts are obviously more fast, so that's more enjoyable.
My name's Martin, I'm Josh's dad. We got involved with Club 100 just over a year ago. We really got involved with the championship. We found it so friendly, we found it a nice level playing field for the kids and adults to race. But more than that, it's a good family get-together. Josh is talking to his chums that he's met racing. We're talking to the parents. It's become a real social event with us.
My name's Chris, I'm Bailey's dad. I go to all the races with Bailey in the current championship of Club 100. But we've got a new concept coming out next season called the Young Drivers Championship. It will put Bailey and other youngsters that are currently in Club 100 into the same bracket. It's a brilliant idea, and you know, to bring more young people into it, and hopefully, you know, they then move on to the bigger championship, you know, when they feel you know, they're at the appropriate age and readiness, really.
So Motorsport UK, the UK's governing body for all things on four wheels, right up to Formula One, they recognise Club 100 and they think the Club 100 concept is a good thing, and they really do want to get involved in the Club 100 Arrive and Drive concept. So for the first time for next year in the Young Drivers Championship, which we're introducing, drivers that take part in the full season will be able to achieve their full race licence with Motorsport UK.
I really look forward to racing in the Young Drivers Championship next season, as I think it will be nice to race against people my own age.
The Young Drivers Championship is a brilliant concept. We're really looking forward to coming. Joshua, to be able to race with people his own age on a level playing field is second to none.
I can't wait to race in the Young Drivers Championship.
So if you want to get involved in the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship next season, just head to the website www.club100.co.uk or find us on Facebook, Club 100 Racing.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rye House. We're getting ready for the C final. Good to hear about the Young Drivers Championship again there from JV and the guys there. Their calendar next year looks a little bit like this. Back to the full 7 rounds, starting at Buckmore Park on Sunday the 7th of March. Bayford Meadows for round 2, which you saw that piece to camera filmed last year on the 30th of May. Wilton Mill is then the host for round 3 in the middle of July, 18th of July. Back to Buckmore Park on the 8th of August, Lyd on the 5th of September, and then 2 rounds to finish in the autumn at Buckmore Park on the 26th of September and the 28th of November. So if you want to get involved, Young Drivers Championship there for 2021. All info on the website.
Absolutely. It has been a really good initiative this year, albeit obviously it has been curtailed, but I still think it's been really good. And let's go through very quickly the 2021 calendar as well. You've got Buckmore Park. Sorry, the main. Excuse me. The main
for
calendar.
both the Saturday racing of endurance and Sprint 60, and on the Sunday the sprints, as you're seeing here today.
Absolutely. So the Club 100 main calendar, the 27th and 28th of February at Buckmore Park. Not sure yet where round 2 is going to settle. It'll either be on the 13th or 14th of March at Shennington, or the 20th and 21st of March at Landau. Either way, we then go on to Clay Pigeon for the 24th and 25th of April, the 15th and 16th of May then for Wilton Mill. The 12th and 13th of June is Lyd in its typical summer slot. The 3rd and 4th of July, Glanny Gores, driver's favourite for many there in Wales. If you've not been before, definitely get yourself down for that round. Beautiful part of the world. Ella Park, 31st of July and 1st of August, 11th and 12th of September, excuse me, for Bayford Meadows, which means that the Endurance and SP60 series are going there, which they haven't done in recent history. 9th and 10th of October at Wilton Mill, 30th and 31st of October, i.e. this weekend next year, will be right here at Rye House as we are today, and then the 13th and 14th of November at Buckmore Park. It is a fantastic calendar. He thinks so.
That's
or
not a
she,
goose.
or she. I can't really gender a dinosaur. I'm not an expert, but yeah, it's not a goose. That's our challenge to the camera crew. They've not been able to get us a shot of a goose yet. But yes, it is a fantastic calendar. And I want to give a shout out as well to something that has also got going this year, partially as a result of all the restrictions to the real world full metal racing, as we like to call it. The Legends of Club 100 and BUKC iRacing Championship. We're indebted to Steve Hicks, one of the drivers in the Club 100 field, who's been a big part of setting that up. I know there's been a host of people who've been helping them out. We were talking to Matt Hale about it earlier as well. Still one more round of that to go on the 18th of November, and you can catch that on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel, and there are plans for that, plenty being discussed for 2021. I cannot stress how important it is. Obviously, you know, if the UK is to go into lockdown 2.0, it's fantastic that we've got these things that are keeping the community together no matter what.
And I actually think not just keeping the community together, but, you know, keeping us in contact during the off season as well. It's like if it wasn't for the Rona, you know, it's kind of, we'd get to the end of the season and then not see each other until probably the season opener around the end of January, which is still set to take place at Bookmore Park as well. Go head to the website for details about that as well. But yeah, I think it's been a really good opportunity, and it's great to see how many drivers, because we are all quite similar. We all quite like the same things, and you know, we get on fairly well.
Yeah,
you know, and it's an opportunity to you know, grow the community even further than we do here on the race weekends, because the race weekends tend to be quite
frantic,
quick and frantic.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah. So no, if you are a Club 100er or a BUKCer, and you're on the iRacing, we've got the group there on Facebook that ourselves and Hicksy and a couple of others are running.
Absolutely. Club100.co.uk if you want to check out, that's 100 the number 100, if you want to check out any of the details about the full metal, the real world racing. Facebook is the place to go for Club 100 in general, and through that you can find out about the iRacing Championship as well. And just, if you want to keep abreast of it, follow us. We cover Club 100 all the time.
We never shut up about it.
We never shut up about it. It sometimes drives some people mad, but we love it. So that's how you keep up to date with that. C final going on to circuit, though. It's time for us to go into our heavyweight finals.
Time for our final streamed C final of the year. Name of the game in this one, finish in the top four, move forward to the B. Here is your grid. Sonny Cundy on pole position, Darren DeMattia alongside on the front row, Bradley Shears and Jonathan McCaddy on row 2. If those four drivers stay where they are, they move forward into the next race, get a free race. Blake Templey and Miguel Hall. That's quite a surprise to see Miguel Hall down there on row 3 with work to do. Richard Neal and Wayne Dunn on row 4. Thijs Payne and Dimitri Zeld in row 5. Lewis McKinnon and Chris Kirk on row 6. Dan Smith and Chris Wharton, row 7. Jack Fowler and James Fremont on row 8. Jaden Cadigan and James Dunnett on row number 9. Chris Solomon and Martin Robinson, row 10. Redford James and Joel Barnett, row 11. Elliot Muse, a non-attendee today, unfortunately, their 23rd. So, top 4, as we say, go forward to the B final. You all right, Howard?
I am, yes. Slight difference to what I've got in front of me here. Sonny Cundy is down in 5th on my grid in front of me, so just keep an eye out for if it's DeMattia or Cundy on pole.
Right.
That looks like DeMattia to me. On pole for this one.
Check in a few moments' time. I think we've got Darren Townsley at the front there.
Yeah, it's DeMattia
as well.
It's DeMattia and Townsley, Shears and McCady, and then Cundy and Templey, and then the grid is as advertised.
Right, okay.
Maybe a last-minute change there. It's only 1 point difference, but they're all tied on points.
Well, the objective stays the same, and you can see P4 there, P3 looking for when pole sitter goes. There he goes. So Darren DeMattia will lead them into turn 1. The 124 of Bradley Shears trying to follow through and has done it very well. There's a lot of water. Oh, a lot of drivers are going to be running wide there.
Yeah, in the darkness.
But Bradley Shears actually, is as comical as it looked, absolutely nailed that and has got himself up to P2.
That was brilliant stuff. Looking over the shoulder of the driver in front of him to see when the throttle pedal got hit and someone's round near the front, and that's caused chaos behind for quite a few drivers. There's at least 4 drivers who have come to an outright stop, and plenty of drivers who have had to augment their standard lines to navigate around that issue. But it is...
Top 4's broken away.
Yeah, that could be significant in terms of the promotion up into the B final. Top 4 get through, remember, as they come around to finish this first lap.
I think it might be Jonathan McCaddy there in fourth. We'll just check as they come through. So it's Dematia, Shears, Neil and Cundy. If Cundy checks over his shoulder now and sees that huge gap there in fifth, don't overtake, Sonny. Just keep pushing forward and get this top four locked out.
Drivers who had an issue on that first lap, Blake Templey and Martin Robinson are the worst affected, but it was also a bit difficult for Lewis McKinnon and James Fremont, who I think had to take a slightly odd line in avoidance, as down the inside of the 149 there goes the number 17, so that is Wayne Dunham getting back past Tyce Payne. Wayne Dunham still our points leader in Class 3.
Yeah, hasn't had the best of days as well, and you can see his urgency there to get forward.
Yeah,
try and get through to the B final.
Yeah, speaking of which, are there any novice drivers who've made it in? Yes, is the short answer. So
ABC takeout penalty for the 154 of Jonathan McCaddy, who's currently in fifth place. So that's him out. That is him out of the B final as Bradley Shears tries to go up the inside of Darren Dematia. What is the gap looking like? So the top four covered by 7/10. A further, sorry, by 1.8 seconds. Further 1.2 seconds behind is McCaddy, and at the moment, yeah, the second group on the road, McCaddy, Smith, Dunham, all of them are all quicker than third and fourth at the moment.
Well, longer races, of course, these finals, 12 minutes in duration, so there is time. It's not an insurmountable gap, as we really are into the darkness time here at Rye House. Clear visors are a must. Darren Dematia leading at the moment. Bradley Shears right with him. I don't know if Shears is going for a real overtake opportunity, or he's just doing that in case Dematia gets a little nervous on the brakes and he's got some runoff to go for. I'm not. It's sort of achieving both, I suppose, for Bradley Shears in that second place. And then it's Richard Neal in third with the black and blue helmet.
Currently fastest driver on the circuit is Neal, 46.182 last time around.
Indeed.
Bradley Shears, I'd just get on that rear bumper of Dematia and push. I'd not be trying to do all this weaving malarkey, because unless you can try and go through, okay, that'll do. Through and into the lead. Right, can Bradley Shears get his head down and start to pull a gap, because that second group is closing of McCaddy, Smith, Dunham and Payne. As you say, Howard, a long way to go in this race. Currently fastest driver on circuit down in 9th place is Chris Kirk on a 45.744.
And Chris did have curtailed running in at least one of his heats. I can remember having an incident on lap 1, so maybe he will be looking to make some moves here. Jaden Cadogan just passed Chris Sullivan for 13th.
I think the error on the graphic early, mate, was Miguel Hall, who's in 11th place in the A final on grid. So not to worry. Everything corrected now. This race, of course, continues with 8 minutes on the clock. Bradley Shears ahead of Darren Dematia, Richard Neal and Sonny Cundy. Currently the top four going through, but the gap between fourth and fifth is under a second now, but it is McCaddy there in fifth place, who we know has got such a big penalty that even if he wins this race, he won't qualify for the B final. So the true gap that we're looking at is about 2.2 seconds back to Dan Smith in sixth.
And this is Dan Smith in sixth, defending against Wayne Dunham and Chris Kirk as they come through Complex Nouvelle, through this left-hander and into Paddock Corner.
Chris Kirk in a new suit, I noticed this weekend. Prepared for him by Muttley down at Just So. Just So merchandise. Do some great stuff. Produce our DDM.
I was going to say, I'm a big fan. I'd be rather chilly right now if it wasn't for, for them. As they come through hairpin 1.
A shout out to Muttley and the crew there. Do some great work. We've got to support our local businesses at this time. 6 minutes and 50 seconds of this C final to go here at Rye House. Round 8 of the Club 100 Sprint Championships for 2020. There is Chris Kirk, Captain Kirk. It almost looks like, and he's still got a shot here. If this trio can work together over the next 6.5 minutes, you know, it may be down to the last lap, but down the inside goes Kirk. He wants to try and get through. Track limit warning for the number 17.
The gap between 4th and 5th, 0.6 of a second. But as Andrew says, that's to McKady, who has the penalty to be applied. Not that he's not a factor, of course, in that if he tries to put a move on Sonny Cundy, Sonny doesn't necessarily know that there's a... Well, he's unlikely to know that there's a penalty to be applied.
And then leaves him vulnerable on line astern on the road to those who can actually knock him out of that top 4.
So
New fastest lap of the race has just gone in from Bradley Shears, 44.575, excuse me. He's gone, 3.4 seconds up the road.
Yep.
Just needs to close this one out. We'll see him again in the B final.
So if as there's a penalty for Wayne Dunham for track limits, that's 2 positions off the top of my head. So he'd have to do something rather impressive now to get himself a promotion. And you know what? That's not insignificant in the Class 3 standings. He is our Class 3 leader.
That's frustrating for Kirk as well, because that's a barrier now to getting through. He needs Dunham kind of out the way so he can crack on and try and get onto the back of Dan Smith and Sonny Cundy further up the road.
And here he is trying to do so. Was that into Complex Nouvelle? I couldn't quite tell where that move was going on. Oh, it was into the final corner. And
in fact, that's Kirk falling into the clutches of Townsley. So Darren Townsley is now up to 8th place.
Oh, and he goes
it's all going wrong for Kirk now as he hits one of the wet patches on the outside of Stadium, runs very wide, loses a number of positions. That's a shame there for Chris Kirk. He was having a good race up to that point. Still, Shears, Dematia, Neal and Cundy then, the top 4, racing through to the B final here at Rye House. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell from Double Dash Motorsport Media providing your commentary once again for Club 100.
Late Templey on a recovery drive now, just past Chris Solomon for 19th place. So trying to salvage some points for this one, but it's not been the best day at the races for Blake.
Just caught a sight there of Jaden Callaghan in the 23, the yellow helmet. He's having a strong run. He's up to 13th place now in this final. Driver ever learning his craft. This is always a bit of a strange moment, isn't it, Howard? Because this is the 4th and 5th place on the road battle. Sonny Cundy has been in this position before, but does he know that Jonathan McCaddy has a penalty? The answer is probably no.
No. You were talking about Captain Kirk earlier. This is like making first contact. It's like,
yes. Who are you? What do you want?
What's the state of play here?
Are you a friend or a foe?
Yes. Can McCady get by without violating the Prime Directive? Or no, I'm going to stop making the Jackie references. And, Sonny Cundy is going defensive though into hairpin 2.
Strangely, just wants to let him go. Don't defend.
Yeah.
This is the problem when drivers don't know that a driver such as the 154 has a significant penalty. You don't want to fight them and drop yourself into the clutches of the next driver behind, which is Dan Smith.
Yeah. New fastest lap of the race from our leader, a 44.339. He's now basically 6 seconds up the road. This is where it's at though. And Sonny Cundy thinks it's more significant than it really is. And if he starts defending against McCady, and Dan Smith is going to have an opportunity.
Sorry, Howard. The risk is that he makes a mistake as well, you know, loses concentration, clips a cone, whatever, because the penalties are always applied from those at the back first. So if you're in Dan Smith's situation, you're kind of hoping as up the inside goes McCaddy, takes 4th on the road, and of course has that 6th place penalty. You know, all it takes in this situation at the moment is for Sonny Cundy to hit 1 cone.
Yep. In his pursuit of what he might perceive to be the last ticket to the B final.
And he would be out of it. Because as it stands at the moment, Sonny's penalty, if he was to receive one, would be applied first. That would put Dan Smith up to 5th place. And then McCaddy's penalty would be applied, which would further promote Dan Smith up into 4th. Something we often see in the BUKC. That drivers, by just keeping the nose clean, can gain 3 or 4 positions come the end of a race if they've come in behind drivers with penalties ahead of them.
Quite a few changes on that last lap, actually. Darren Townsley passed Dunham for 7th. Chris Kirk managed to get past Tice Payne. And, yeah, something happened to Dimitri Zeldin on that lap. He dropped down a fair few positions to 13th place. So something a little odd there. This is the 75 of Richard Neal on the tail of second place Darren Dematia. There is no reason for these two drivers to begin. I mean, you know, if an opportunity's there, there's no harm in Neal having a look, but there's no need to, you know, throw the kitchen sink at this one.
Yeah, and being towards the back of the grid in that B final as well, you do have that opportunity to position yourself, strangely, a little bit more than if you were starting in the middle.
Yes. Particularly going into stadium, there are some, you know what, you could talk me round to having a back of the grid slot instead of a mid-pack slot going into stadium in the dark with damp patches around.
Yep. Last lap board is out then for Bradley Shears, who has a lead of 7.1 seconds over Darren Dematia in second. Richard Neal third. Jonathan McCaddy fourth on the road, has just received a track limit warning. Already has a substantial penalty which will knock him down to 10th. So Sonny Cundy is currently in the last paying spot into the B final. There is Chris Kirk, now in 12th place on the road, having a battle there with Jack Fowler in the white suit.
Goes defensive into hairpin one. Fowler will try and get a switch back. Here is the battle for second place. There's some traffic that's come into play here, I think, and that's why it's all bulked up a little bit. But
Bradley Shears wins it across the line. We'll see him in the B final. Who's going to take second place in this one? It is going to be a bit of a drag race to the line, but Dematia will take it on the line ahead of Neal. And fourth on the line right at the end was Sonny Cundy. Now I really hope that oh, is that a tie over the line? It was.
Over the line.
It was to the 1,000th of a second. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Oh, I hope that was clean. That would be an awful way to knock yourself out of the the B final.
Getting a penalty.
Getting a penalty
across the line with someone who had a penalty.
Yes, but at least on timing. Sonny Cundy is fourth. Jonathan McCaddy fifth. I mean, it will be that result anyway, unless there's any penalties on Cundy late on. Dan Smith sixth. Darren Townsley seventh. Wayne Dunham 8th, Thijs Payne in 9th, Jaden Cadigan 10th, good run from him. Dimitri Zeldin 11th, Chris Kirk in the end in 12th place. 13th for Jack Fowler, 14th James Dunnett, 15th Lewis McKinnon, 16th for Chris Wharton, James Fremont in 17th, Blake Templey 18th, Chris Solomon 19th, Martin Robinson in 20th, Redford James 21st, and Joel Barnett 22nd.
That was your C final then, and there'll be another brief pause just whilst they work out. Most of the B finalists will be ready in their carts, but we've just got to check on the top four finishes from that B final, from that C final, excuse me, to check who gets repechaged, promoted onto the back of the grid. Race control there as darkness falls, but time to look ahead to the B final here at Rye House. Here at Rye House then for round 8 of the Club 100 Sprint Series for 2020. It is the heavyweights. It is their B final, which, if any of you watched our round, our previous streamed rounds this season, this is a race that sometimes provided some entertainment.
All the races provide entertainment.
All the races provide entertainment, but this is a special type of entertainment where it can get rather crazy. Shall we take a look at the grid, mate?
Let's do that. The grid graphic's going to be different to reality, so I'm just going to read through it. Apologies, Morgan. Bill Taylor and Richard Newton on the front row. Harrison Wedgbury and James Taylor, row 2. Paul Williams and Matthew Lamberts, row 3. We've got Steve Lindley and Andrew Cherry on row 4. Row 5, Matt Kendall and Jason Bear. Row 6, Gary Miller and Lee Henderson. Then Tim Williams and Bradley Parrott on row 7. Vinod Hirani and Simon Kavanagh on row 8. Andy Berry and James Workman, row 9. Richard Masterton and Frankie Bennett on row 10. Wayne Edwards and Luke Phillips on row 11, and Howard's going to deliver our top 4 from the C final.
Row 12 will be Bradley Shears and Darren Dematia. Row 13, rounding out your 26 kart grid, will be Richard Neal and confirmed Sonny Cundy. Phew. That was very good, mate. That was like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time when the grid graphics.
Yes.
Subtly different. It's not a problem with the Alpha Log guys.
there'll have been a points recalculation
Yes.
post the graphics being generated.
That's it, exactly.
But we've got it all under control. The latest results.alphatime.co.uk/club100. If you've got a spare screen, a spare monitor or tablet or whatever you've got, electronic device that can connect to the internet, all the latest and greatest results will be over there for you to peruse at your leisure.
They will, and absolutely, of course, if whatever may befall the season in terms of curtailment of running, it could be that that's the critical place to go to check out on once it's worked out what's happening with the championship and the remaining rounds that were due to run. For those of you who haven't been following, we just don't know. We just don't know if this turns out to be the last round. We hope it's not, but we have to entertain that possibility. But either way, keep it tuned to Club100.co.uk and Club100 on Facebook are probably the two best places to keep abreast of that situation. But that's where you can get the official results. And don't forget, as we're going into these last two races, live.alphatime.co.uk rather than results.alphatime.co.uk is the place to go for all of the live timing. You get to see the live timing, live penalties, warnings. There's a driver tracker. We haven't mentioned the driver tracker today, but if you're supporting a particular driver, go on there, click on their little cart number, and it will follow them around the circuit. It's a lovely little graphic there at Alpha Timing.
So this is a very intriguing grid, because we've got some drivers at the front of it who have had some very good runs today, including Bill Taylor and a heat winner in there as well in Richard Newton. The B final, as you say, Howard, was quite spectacular the last time round. And one of the key protagonists in that B final was James Taylor, who I can see there on row number 2.
Absolutely.
But there's only 2 spots.
There are.
There's only 2 spots in the A final from this B final.
Can I just say that universal symbol there of a driver with their hand in the air,
yes.
counting the carts to make sure you're in the right row. It's a classic. We've all been there. I'm 16th on the right. Was that 1 or 2 carts?
And everybody's weaving.
Everyone's weaving. Get out the way. Oh, someone else has come up the middle now. What row are they slotting into?
Looks like we are good to go then for our B final here at Rye House. Under the lights for Club 100 sprint action. Away we go then. Bill Taylor has pole position. Can he keep the lead into turn 1? Yeah. Straight through as well. Harrison Wedgbury into turn 2. Richard Newton a little bit slow off the line there. Couple of drivers running wide again as everyone tries to fight for that single cart width of a dry line in the middle of the circuit. Off there. Couldn't quite make out who that was towards the back of the field. He's had a spin through stadium. But apart from that, everybody clean, everybody's still running.
I think I'm right in saying this. James Taylor may be extremely unhappy to find himself behind Richard Newton again. Because wasn't he one of the drivers who couldn't get by in the heat earlier on? He's going for it, but I think that's an issue there for Neil towards the back. And, James Taylor to the pits. James Taylor to the pits. What's happened there?
So he's clearly not happy with something. Oh, doesn't feel like he can compete if... yeah, a bit of a strange one there. James Taylor out of the picture of this race then. So Harrison Wedgbury has taken the lead.
Oh, and I think something may have happened with Richard Newton in Complex Nouvelle, Andrew, because Newton's down 13 places. Other drivers have had an issue. Andy Berry, Vinod Hirani, and of course James Taylor. We just saw going to the pits.
I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together and hopefully not get 5. Richard Newton and James Taylor were side by side going into Complex Nouvelle. Yeah, there we go. ABC takeout. I was right. As everyone's you go first through the corner. That is going to be as Harrison Wedgbury's got himself a pass penalty. So that's +4. He's going to be out of the reckoning for the top 2. That's James Taylor pulling him, basically disqualifying himself from the race for taking Richard Newton out. That's what he's done there. And gone, do you know what? If I can't, I'm going to get a takeout penalty. I may as well not race and get in anybody else's way. We didn't see the incident, obviously. But I know James isn't that kind of driver to take someone out deliberately.
What's on screen there is quite significant, because that's Paul Williams defending against Lee Henderson, who's now... no, we've gone further back here. Paul Williams defending against Matthew Lambert, sorry it is. And that's significant because, as Andrew just observed, Harrison Wedgbury has got a penalty, which now takes him out of the top 2, which means that your battle over 3rd on the road, is your battle over the last of the 2. We haven't mentioned it already. It's 2 promotion spots from this race, not 4 as it was in the C final. So this is your battle for A final promotion right now. And there, round the outside from Matthew Lambert as Paul Williams hit a damp patch That is Lambert. He may not know it, but that is in up into the final promotion spot. Maybe he does know it because he is very robust in trying to deter Paul Williams from making another move, but Paul Williams gets the job done. Andrew, I'm getting deja vu. I feel like we've commentated on Paul Williams desperately trying to make it into a promotion spot before at this track, and he's at the moment in the pound seats for it. Harrison Wedgbury leads, but has an advantage by contact takeout penalty to be applied, so he cannot get promoted. Bill Taylor is in second, 1.5 seconds behind him, and then it's 2.5 seconds back to this battle, which is over the last of the promotion spots. Paul Williams in third, Matthew Lambert in fourth, Steve Lindley in fifth there in the 47, and also Matt Kendall in sixth place in the number 55.
I think Paul Williams knows what the situation is here. I think he knows that Wedgbury has a penalty. He's a very experienced driver. As you say, Howard, he's been in this position before as Lambert goes down the inside, takes the position, and Steve Lindley's going to cut up the inside as well. So poor Paul Williams is going to go down 2 spots there.
Well, is he? He's trying to fight back, but that would be a very unusual place to get back past Steve Lindley, and indeed he stays in 5th place.
So Matthew Lambert is now third on the road, a net second. Bump and pass penalty for Darren DeMattia, who's raced through from the C final.
Yeah, Jason Bear, I think, has got a move done, or did he? In the end, he was trying a move on Matt Kendall, but I'm not sure if he made it pay off through the final corner. Steve Lindley here goes defensive into hairpin 1 over 4th place.
Visor warning for the 172. That'll probably be because the visor's been open.
You'd hope so, and hope that it's not because the visor is tinted.
Yes.
But I suppose in that situation you get a black flag, so fair
Yes.
play. Steve Lindley then in 4th place. How far up the road from them is Matthew Lambert? Because, oh, there he is. Okay, not too much further, but he's beginning to open up a gap, and that's significant because that is the last year promotion spots. As Lindley goes over to driver's right to defend into stadium. Paul Williams in the sandwich here, trying to get by on Lindley, trying to not allow Kendall past, and Kendall gets muscled out of the way by Jason Bear, and Bear is through there, up into 6th place.
Not quite sure about the tactics at the moment of this group trying to squabble, because that key spot in the A final is just slowly pulling away from them up the road. Bill Taylor will be loving this. He can have a nice leisurely Sunday drive into the A final with 6.5 minutes to go. He's just set his personal best of the race so far.
He'll get a trophy on the way as well.
He will do.
For winning the B final.
Lindley, TLW for Lambert. Doesn't want to pick up too many of them.
No.
The gap's now 2.2 seconds, Howard, between Lambert and Lindley.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's do they know that there's the penalty further up the road? I suppose they don't. As you say, Paul Williams might, but he's not in a position to do anything about it unless he's going to bump draft Lindley up the straight so that he gets the idea, oh, you're not battling.
Yes, but it's almost the driver in the front of that situation needs to recognise that is
they
the
need
situation
to
allow them to be
Yes.
bump drafted.
Yes, completely agree. You can't really bump draft a driver over to driver's left.
Yeah.
As Jason Bear now comes to put pressure on Paul Williams, who's got is that his older lid? Or
Yeah.
a new, it's a different lid for Paul Williams.
Wayne Edwards is absolutely flying. He's up to 9th place in the 172. He's just at a 44.712. He's the fastest driver out on circuit.
Yeah, and Bradley Parrott is up to 10th. And Darren DeMattia, he may have had a contact warning, but considering he got promoted up from the C final, up into 11th place.
Ooh, I thought Paul Williams was going to go for a big send around the outside there into pylon, but no, just holds there in 5th place on the road. Both of our leaders in the 44.9s at the moment. 5 minutes of this one to go.
Jason Bear, it's worth noting as well, is the highest placed Class 3 runner in this at the moment. I'm just going to check. It is his 4th round in the championship. Another driver who's in Class 3 and in his 4th round of the championship.
Yep.
And one wonders how a full season would have looked.
I don't suppose we've got any C3s that have managed to get through to the A final.
I was just wondering
Whilst
that.
Howard's checking that, we keep on this battle for 4th place. Cut back to the fight over 13th place. Gary Miller ahead of the likes of Richard Newton and Tim Williams in there as well. 63.
James Workman. James Workman there battling away with Masterton, I think it was. No novice drivers up into the A final, but I think you mentioned to me off air, but I'm not sure we've acknowledged it. 9 Class 3 drivers made it into this B final. That's really impressive. You know, we spoke about this in the lightweights earlier, and what we get with the lightweights is we get some young drivers, championship drivers coming in, hoping to get some extra running in, which they're perfectly entitled to do, but it does mean that we get a few of these Class 3 drivers in, and fair play to them for getting up into the upper echelons of that lightweight class, not taken away from that whatsoever. But it's, I suppose it's less common to see the Class 3 drivers getting up. Wayne Edwards, who we acknowledge having a good drive through the field, has unfortunately picked up a penalty, and that is for bump and pass. So that will be 4 positions docked at the end of this. Harrison Wedgbury leads this race.
3¼ minutes of it to go. As you say, Howard is up the inside of Richard Newton there. Was Tim Williams. So Tim Williams is continuing to have a good day. So T3 podium at the moment looks like this. Jason Bear, who's now up to 5th place. Paul Williams has slipped down to 8th on the road. Second in C3 at the moment is Darren DeMattia, who's clearly got himself tuned in. And we do see this sometimes when a driver goes from C to B final in changeable conditions. They get themselves tuned in.
Yes.
And they spend the first 3 or 4 laps making up positions, whilst everybody else who wasn't in the C final are trying to work out where the track is. Oh, Jason Bear. Is that Jason Bear running a little bit wide there?
Yes, it was. This is Matthew Lambert, who I'm not sure if he's aware, but he's about to, if it stays like this, he will bag himself the final spot on the A final grid, courtesy of the penalty due the way of our leader on the road, Harrison Wedgbury. So to be clear, when I say he leads the race, he only leads it physically. He would not be classified as leader. There is your man vying, well, currently set to be your race winner in the form of Bill Taylor.
Sorry, just to finish the C3 podium, it's currently looking like this. Jason Bear at the top of it, Darren DeMattia is 2nd, and Tim Williams in 3rd. So none of our championship contenders in C3.
Interesting. But nice to see how competitive that Class 3 is, actually. It's not the case that a single novice has come in and absolutely dominated proceedings. It's been a really close-knit thing in Class 3, and that's really good. Matthew Lambert here, guiding his way through complex development. He's got a green number plate, but I will be honest, he's coming up on timing as a Class 2 driver, so I'm not quite sure which subclass he's counted as being a part of officially. This man here is definitely a super heavyweight because he's been racing in that subclass all season long.
I can confirm that the visor warning board for Edwards is because it is yonk.
Okay, yeah. But yes, Bill Taylor, a super heavyweight driver he has been all season, been driving a really good season here. Quite like the lid as well, nice and simple.
Yeah.
Goes with the suit.
Clear and direct designs.
Yeah, it's like he's done a fusion of Hakkinen and Bottas.
Oh no, I'm picking up vibes of Mika Salo.
Oh yes, yes, good shout, good shout. Sorry, we're doing.
We're going into the nerd library again, ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder. You said that he was having a calm Sunday drive. I wonder if he thinks that. Oh no, I've got to reel in the leader. He's just set the fastest lap of the race as Bill Taylor, 44.347. This is the last lap. But even if he doesn't know that the driver ahead of him has a penalty, he still thinks he's in the promotion spot. So he was never going to push too hard necessarily, but he might yet retain that fastest lap. Harrison Wedgbury then rounds the final corner. He'll win on the road, but he has a penalty to be applied. So it's Bill Taylor there in the 58 who takes the win in the B final. And coming round, we expect now Matthew Lambert. Indeed, he is there to take the final promotion spot in the A final, or up into the A final, one should say. Steve Lindley, we expect to come round next. Yes, he does. And
More
he leads this battle, which is just everybody else.
Oh, Paul Williams got back to 5th place on the last lap there.
Brilliant
Well
stuff.
done.
So Steve Lindley in 4th, Paul Williams in 5th, Jason Bear in 6th, ahead of Bradley Parrott, ahead of Bradley Shears, and then it's Matt Kendall, Andrew Cherry in 10th, Darren D'Amatia, good drive up the field from the C final there, Gary Miller in 12th, Tim Williams 13th, then it's James Workman, Richard Masterton, Luke Phillips, Simon Kavanagh, Richard Newton, Richard Neal, Sonny Cundy rounds out your top 20. Frankie Bennett in 21st, Andy Berry in 22nd, then it's Vinod Hirani, and then Wayne Edwards had some kind of issue that's put him a lap off the back of the field. Lee Henderson had a bit of an issue as well, and James Taylor we saw peeling into the pit lane. And that's all of them. So, that was the penultimate race. We have one more to go, and it's the big one in our heavyweights to bag the 130 points. Thank you for staying with us up to this point. Hopefully, we're going to be able to finish off here with a real treat, and I think it's boding well, I think, looking at this grid. Let's look ahead then to our final race of the day, final race of the weekend. It's the A final in heavyweights. The drivers will have the opportunity to do some warm-up laps for this one.
Let's hold the grid until
Indeed.
that they've set off for those laps.
Yeah.
Just want to take the opportunity whilst there's a slight pause to do our roll call.
I agree.
And thanks, especially as it is the last stream for Club 100 of 2020. The team here today on a cold, wet, blustery day in October.
As you can possibly hear in the background.
Yes.
These mics are getting buffeting.
Big thanks to our camera crew out there on circuit. As we say, David Whitehouse down at Stadium. Sorry, my brain's going into that. This is what 14 days of self-isolation does to you. Across from us on the gantry, on the back straight,
And
Mr.
waving
Jack,
at us,
Jack Mitchell.
I
Is he waving at
I
us?
think he's waving
yeah,
at us.
there he is.
Hello.
Cheers, Jack. Thanks for all your fantastic work today. And, of course, we couldn't forget Chris Simpson as well, down there.
Exit of Complex Novell.
Exit of Complex Novell, and all the hard work that he does on the social media. In the room to our left, we have Morgan Jones, who's been controlling all of where the cameras are on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, and doing all the directing on that one. And master of everything and running around and making sure all the cameras are working, and any help to our camera crew and to us as well, Darren Hassan from Alpha Live. Thank you to all the team who've put the stream together here today. And of course, I've got to thank Luke Austin and James Fitzhugh of Alpha Live for all of their assistance across the course of the year. To thank the Club 100 team as well. This year has not been easy by any stretch of the imagination, but ever since kind of lockdown 1.0, I remember us being at Glannygores for BUKC mere days before lockdown 1.0 was announced, and we really didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how the following months were going to pan out. And we're still kind of there in that situation as we go into the next one. But I think everyone in the Club 100 team have been brilliant over the last 6 months. So big thanks to Penny, to Catherine in the office and all that they do, to JV, of course. None of this would happen without him. Thank you to all the mechanics as well. The mechanics schedule has been relentless pretty much ever since the first test session, which we had at Wilton Mill back in, I want to say it was, was it June or a little bit earlier? It was some months ago in the blur
like
of
that,
2020.
when it started opening up again,
But if you think that even up to this point, they've had 7 Club 100 weekends, we've had 2 Young Driver Championship weekends. We've had a BUKC finals in the middle of all of that as well. There's BUKC testing already done for the new season. And the PFI special events as well in the middle of all of that.
Absolutely brilliant. And I want to say as well that the flow of information from Club 100 and more widely Motorsport UK throughout all of the, has been second to none. You know, I remember very clearly an email coming through that outlined 3 different permutations of the calendar. Thought, right, if they let us go at this point, this is what we do.
Yeah.
If we go at this point, this is what we do. They had it all locked in.
Yep.
You always knew where you stood. For a year that has been marked by so much uncertainty, and regrettably still is, I have been
We've
so
always
impressed.
known what we're doing with JV and the team across the two competitions. So thank you to everyone, and particular names that spring to mind as well. Jimbo, Nicky for all of his help, and still been doing his driver training, of course.
Yes.
For us in the club. So thank you everybody who's put so much effort into the last 4 or 5 months, because they have not been easy. Here's your grid then for the A final. Joe Holmes and Anwar Birel Smith, fighting for the title, have the front row. This could be very interesting. Adam Wright and Jordan Salter on row 2. Jack Bolton and David Longman, after such a bad start. That's a great drive there from David onto row 3. Alex Pritchard and Matt Hale are on row 4. Lewis Ridd and Steve Bosley on row 5. Miguel Hall and Matt Wildman are on row 6. Oliver Moss and Stephen Downs on row 7. Paul Goddard and Richard Allen on row 8. Jonathan Elliott and Sean Briley on row 9. Lenny Wood and Jeff Lamb on row 10. Harrison Darwell and Chris Gristwood on row 11. Dave Peathers and Nick Trafford on row 12. And then our 2 drivers from the B final, please, Mr. Mitchell.
I was so ready for you to hand over. Bill Taylor and
Penalties.
Drama. Penalty for Matthew Lambert, excluded underweight.
Oh, Matthew.
Excluded for being underweight, which means that the promotion was inherited by Steve Lindley. That battle between himself and Paul Williams, that was crucial. So Steve Lindley onto the back of this one. Andrew, top 3 in the championship, the top 3 on our grid. This is going to be tasty. Joe Holmes, Anwar Birel Smith, and Adam Wright. Your top 3. Fantastic stuff.
Other names to mention, apologies if I miss any of them out. Barney, Bobby in the mechanics team, Sam Dimolo as well.
Yep.
Still one of my favourite moments of the year, seeing the progress of the Dimolos in Super 1, which is a stream that you can go back and watch here on Alpha Live. Club 100 continuing to support young drivers throughout the sport.
Yeah. Just one final thing. Club100.co.uk if you want to find out about 2021. And also a shout out, we have to always give a shout out to the marshals, enable us to go racing in conditions that you wouldn't necessarily choose to sit out in at this time of year, but they are here enabling us to go racing whilst also complying with all of the regulations that we have to comply with to make this happen.
If this is the last race of the year or not, this is going to be a belter. You have got the top 3 in the championship, all at the front of the field. It should be very, very close. There's been a couple of kart changes, I believe. Matt Wildman has made a kart change. Are we ready to go then here in this heavyweight A final?
Matt Wildman looked a bit out of grid position.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he managed to find it.
I think he was. That's because of the late change to his kart, but I think he has found the spot now. Here we go then for the heavyweight A final, which could decide the championship. Joe Holmes goes from pole position, and it looks like Adam Wright's got P2. Yes, he has.
Great
so
start.
Anwar Birel Smith was not on the lights there and has got work to do. He's now back down into P3. 12 minutes for this A final. They head into the hairpin for the first time. The top 3 have already broken away as Jordan Salter is trying to fight off the likes of Jack Bolton. I think Matt Hale was in there. Sean Briley is out. Sean Briley out of this race, has spun on hairpin 1. That is his race.
Full start.
Full start, okay. First one we've seen of the day.
It is. Yes, it is. It is a full start. Interesting. Very interesting.
Sean Briley gets away with one. I do wonder, was there a problem on the anti-pole side of the grid?
It is weird, isn't it?
It's not like Anwar to miss the lights there. Did the pole side of the grid go too early?
It does seem, although it was, yeah, I mean, okay, firstly, I doubt it was just for Sean Briley tagging the inside of hairpin 1. That's not going to be...
Yeah, it wasn't for...
It's not going to be that.
We didn't reach the minimum number of carts off at turn 1 to need a restart.
Secondly, we saw no particular incident. Looking out the window, I can see no particular incident. Granted, I can't see down at stadium because the start gantry from the comms position, but David, on the camera position there hasn't reported anything. So, yeah, interesting.
I'm just going to put in a dark horse there. I've mentioned him already a couple of times on the stream. David Longman has a good record round this place.
He does, and he's not in too shabby a position, is he? Starting from 6th on this grid.
David for a podium?
It's potential. Shout out as well to Jordan Salter, who's got himself well up the grid. He's in 4th. The next Class 2 runner is Alex Pritchard in 7th. So good run from Salter, and indeed Pritchard. Lewis Rid as well in 9th, 2nd in the Class 2 points coming into today. Just 2 positions ahead of points leader in the Class 2 field of Miguel Hall, albeit Miguel does have a fair old points advantage in the championship. So I think the real place to focus attention is on the Class 1 field. Interesting setup here, but we are good for a start.
Away we go then. So Joe Holmes takes it from P1 again. Adam Wright challenges Anwar Birel Smith for P2 again and gets it.
Carbon copy.
Carbon copy of the first start then. I think it was on the first time around. Pole side of the grid going too soon. But it's Holmes from Wright, Birel Smith, your top 3. Jack Bolton up to P4. There's somewhat, I think it's Harrison Darville has been in the water. Sean Briley has survived. Hairpin 1 this time as Matt Hale will get a track limit warning for that one, running wide on the exit of hairpin number 1. But it's Holmes from Wright, Birel Smith, Bolton. Alex Pritchard is up to P5. The 77 porridge is definitely working today. He's had a belting day and it will lead C2 at the end of lap number 1.
Indeed he will. Joe Holmes, though, look at the gap he's got over the likes of Wright and Birel Smith. 0.6 of a second after 1 lap around Rye House that Joe Holmes leads by. Adam Wright 2nd, Anwar Birel Smith, Jack Bolton, Alex Pritchard and Lewis Rid are your top 6.
Contact warning for the number 40, which is Steve Bosley. There's water on the track as drivers are running deep. Lenny Wood has had a problem through stadium there and has gone to the bottom of the field. Oh, big incident
Paul
there.
Goddard, and that's Jonathan Elliott, and there's clearly water on the track here. That's Matt Hale on the grass, and I didn't catch who the other driver was. I think it
Matt Wildman.
might have been Matt Wildman, indeed, yeah. So something there going on into hairpin 1.
I think, and once again, that's all because I saw Harrison Darville wide on lap number 1. Pulls water onto the circuit. The leaders are the first ones to hit that water. Thankfully, nothing too drastic happened there. There's yellow flags on the start gantry indicating for drivers to, well, need to be careful through stadium and towards hairpin. Oh, Adam Wright's off! Adam Wright crashes and is out of the A final. What a mistake! He crashes out of 2nd place.
Well, now, was that unaided, or was he battling with Anwar?
I think that was water. That was a mistake. That was a pure driving mistake from Adam Wright, running wide. And he is out of this race. And how big could that be in his championship bid? Takeout penalty for Richard Allen, number 26.
Well, that's not related because he's much further down the order in 11th place. So what happened, unless Adam Wright had another incident that left him in the clutches of Richard Allen, and maybe he ran wide and who knows, but that was extremely unusual from Adam Wright, and he went off big time.
Time's a long way down as well. They're in the 48s and 49s at the moment. And look at Bolton. Bolton's tiptoeing his way through that portion of the circuit. The run into hairpin 1 is really treacherous at the moment. Alex Pritchard alongside Jack Bolton here. This is for 3rd place. The last spot on the overall podium. Pritchard to the inside. It's going to take 3rd place. What a sterling run from Alex Pritchard. Miguel Hall not too far behind this. Lewis Rid coming through. Something's happened to David Longman. I'm afraid I've put the cursors on him. He's a long way down the order in 22nd place. Adam Wright is out. Well, he's running again, but is a lap down.
Through. Oh, that must be particularly galling to allow through those that he was battling with not a couple of laps beforehand. Andrew, I'm just looking out the window. It's not obvious to me. I mean, there's a few splashes that have come back onto the racing line heading towards hairpin 1, and that's probably enough for as Lewis Rid was battling away. Just in the background, you could see there with Oliver Moss. We're looking slightly further up the road. Adam Wright is fair play to Adam Wright. He's doing the best that he can to allow everyone through. This is Jack Bolton versus Miguel Hall over 4th place. Miguel Hall, well, he's fine from a Class 2 championship perspective at the moment, but he'd love to get another round within Class 2 as Oliver Moss has executed a successful pass on Lewis Rid.
I'm just looking through the results, Howard.
Yeah.
Has Alex Pritchard ever had an overall podium in a final? The answer is no. Alex Pritchard is not just on for the C2 win here, he is on for it. Oh, Miguel Hall's out!
Wow, big. Oh,
And he's
got
hurt.
some issues.
He's hurt. That's off at Stadium.
Yeah, and
you
that could
don't
be a
have a
big
small
off.
off there if he's hit the water and gone off. I hope Miguel's okay. Jack Bolton's in trouble as well.
He's involved
They were
in that.
together out on circuit.
Issue into Stadium of some kind there. Then the initial diagnosis assessment of what that might have been.
They were racing for 4th and 5th positions.
Yeah.
Now, if Miguel Hall is needing attention, we could see a nullification of the race here. We did have an incident in the E60 race some 8 weeks or so ago where the race was put under full course yellow and a safety cart to treat for an issue down at Stadium. We stay green for now. We're just trying to look through the gloom to see is Miguel Hall running again. I can't see any yellow flags down into sector number 1, so I think he's okay. I think he's got going again, but he looked quite winded there.
Yeah, he was just clutching his ribs for a second as well. That was what worried me, but unfortunately can't see anything out of the window because we're looking through, well, tinted windows into the dark at a corner that has a stark gantry obscuring the view, and someone's got car headlights on with that part of the track.
Time's back to somewhat normal. Joe Holmes is just on a 45.083. The lead gap is 1.4 seconds. But the way this circuit is racing, anything can happen. And all it takes is for one mistake, one misplaced wheel. Really does get a little bit like Monte Carlo at this stage, which some people have described this as the nearest F1 equivalent on the British karting scene. Oh, Sean Briley up the inside there of Richard Allen, aggressive over the curbs. They're all behind Lewis Ridd at the moment. This is the battle over 5th place.
Drivers who've had some kind of drama: Harrison Darville, Lenny Wood, Jack Bolton, Miguel Hall, Adam Wright, Chris Gristwood. We haven't mentioned. He's off the back of the field. He's had an issue. He's retired.
Look at Nick Trafford up in 10th place.
Yeah.
What a run from Nick.
I don't think Miguel Hall is still circulating. He's not crossed the line for a good while yet, so I think he has retired at the side of the track. Hopefully he is fundamentally okay and just a bit winded from all of that. This is Richard Allen in his pursuit of Lewis Ridd, the 39 of Ridd and the 26 of Allen.
The lead gap is going down.
It is going down.
And it's just gone down by a 1/10 and a half. 1.3 seconds is the gap between Holmes and Birel Smith. The two championship contenders tied on points through, good news, Hall walked away. That's what we're being told. But Holmes and Birel Smith equal on points through the round so far. And remember, at the start of the day, the gap between them was 3 points. This could all come down to this very race. They could be tied on points after this one, if the result goes a certain way.
Just a bit of housekeeping. If Miguel Hall, well, he is retired from this race. Good to hear that he's fundamentally okay. His drop score to fall back on is a 12th place.
Okay, that's not too bad then. 3 minutes 20 to go. Holmes just holding the lead at the moment at just over a second.
That's the gap. You could just see it visually there. Holmes in the number 1, Birel Smith in the number 3. Two former champions, one of them a reigning champion.
Oliver Moss having a good run as well, is currently in 4th place.
Yeah, been driving well today. Got the heat win, of course, right back in heat number 1, I want to say.
Miguel Hall gave an okay thumbs up to David Whitehouse down at Stadium, which is the best news that I think we've received all day. Miguel is okay. Obviously a little bit hurt for racing reasons. Obviously he didn't want to finish racing here today at Rye House in that way.
Bump and pass penalty for Stephen Downs. There's going to be 4 positions added to it wherever he finishes, currently running in 13th place.
Gap is down to 1.088 seconds. He's the 2 fastest drivers out on circuit.
Last time we were streaming around, Andrew, we queued up the heavyweight A final as being a real humdinger of a race, and then I don't want to suggest that it was entertaining, but we were shocked at how fast Joe Holmes was. And we just pulled away from the rest of the field. And actually, although it was a highly entertaining race in terms of battles, the battle for the lead never really came to fruition. Here, this is looking like it's a lot more even between Holmes and Birel Smith, as Birel Smith reels him in by another 8 100ths.
It's a 10th here, it's a 10th there.
But is there enough time for Birel Smith to reel this in? Will traffic come into play? We've had plenty of disruption to this race. Are there some drivers who are a lap down?
Don't think it will. The nearest driver up the road to them will be Lenny Wood, who's a good 15, 16 seconds up the road to him. That shouldn't occur.
Jeff Lamb has just got by Nick Trafford to get himself up into the top 10. David Longman has just got past Dave Pethers up into 14th place. As this is the battle between the likes of Jeff Lamb and Nick Trafford and Stephen Downs, who has the penalty to be applied, and he's got Dave Pethers and Steve Lindley for company now.
Steve Lindley's having a great race here. He's up to 12th place, I think, now. As Anwar Birel Smith goes quicker again. The gap is down to less than 0.9. And if he could just get in the slipstream, it's not the biggest circuit for a slipstream effect, but you can pull one in down the pit straight. There they are. There's going to be 2 more laps. 2 more laps then as, Steve Lindley's off.
And I was about to say how good a drive he'd had from the back, having got promoted from the B final.
Yeah.
He had a good drive till then, but unfortunately, as we're on to the last lap, here is Joe Holmes, your leader. To me, he has enough in hand over Anwar Birel Smith, but that's not for lack of trying on Birel Smith's part, because he's just reeled him in at the best part of a 10th again. These two, make no mistake, right on the limit. 2 of the best in Club 100 machinery.
Joe Holmes has been pushed hard this season. I think this has been the biggest challenge he's had in a good few years. No disrespect to anybody else. Anwar Birel Smith has pushed him all the way, especially since the return to racing at Shennington a number of months ago. But today, here at Rye House, Joe Holmes is #1 again. He wins round 8 of the Club 100 Heavyweight Sprint Championship for 2020. Anwar Birel Smith is a very close second, and Alex Pritchard takes his first ever podium in Club 100 Sprints finals. He finishes in 3rd, a brilliant 3rd, and wins in C2. 4th for Oliver Moss, 5th Sean Briley, 6th for Jordan Salter. Lewis Ridd holds on for 7th and a podium in C2. Richard Allen is 8th but has penalties. Steve Bosley 9th. Dave Longman recovers to 10th. 11th for Jeff Lamb. 12th for Nick Trafford, who may have taken the win in super heavyweight there with the penalties to be applied to Allen. Alex Pritchard's like, I got P3. You can't believe it. What a drive from the number 77. The rest of the order looked like this. Nick Trafford 12th, Stephen Downs 13th, Matt Wildman 14th, Bill Taylor in 15th from the B final. That's an impressive drive. Dave Pethers in 16th, Jonathan Elliott in 17th. Matt Hale has been great today. He finishes P18. 19th for Harrison Darville. Jack Bolton wraps out the top 20. Steve Lindley 21st. We were all into drivers who'd had problems in that race. Steve Lindley 21st, Lenny Wood 22nd, Paul Goddard 23rd, and then 3 retirements: Miguel Hall, Adam Wright, and unfortunately on the first lap as well, we didn't mention it, Chris Christwood.
And I think Nick Trafford will take the win in Super Heavies with that penalty to Richard Allen. This is a great shot, by the way, because you can see we're just sat here, and on the other side of the building, it never stops for Alpha Live. They're getting ready to pack up all the kit. There we go. There's Darren giving us a wave. And Morgan prepping his high vis to go on and check all the count. That's how the show goes here at Alpha Live. Wow. There we go. Congratulations to Joe Holmes, who takes the win ahead of Anwar Birel Smith, and Alex Pritchard, who, as far as we can tell, gets his first ever podium in Club 100. Well, I kind of don't want to end it.
Well, we kind of have to.
We kind of have to. We're running out of light.
But yeah, as we say, this is the final stream for 2020 here at Club 100.
This is a really odd comms box camera.
It works.
It does.
Works.
It does. Do we stand?
I think we should really. We should really. Let's look like we're actually doing some hard
I want to
work.
make clear as well. We still have a screen in between us where this window frame is. It's yes.
Thank you everybody for all of your support, all the viewers at home. I do hope you've enjoyed the racing today. It's always spectacular here at Rye House, particularly when we have the conditions like we have today. We will be back in 2021. 6 of the rounds for 2021 will be streamed for Club 100 by Alpha Live, with commentary from ourselves, Double Dash Motorsport Media. So that we can say with certainty. As for the 2 remaining rounds that are scheduled for the season, we will just wait and see. We will take the guidance from the governing body, from Motorsport UK. Thank you again to all of their help across the season so far. But yeah, that brings an end to the racing here today at Rye House. Thank you very much for watching. Do take care of yourselves, especially at times like these. My name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. We've been Double Dash Motorsport Media. If you've enjoyed the commentary, do go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the website www.double-mm.co.uk. And that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much. We will see you in 2021 for more action here in the Club 100 Sprints Championship.